Welcome to episode 172 of the Reptile Gumbo podcast. Again, I can never have all of my co-hosts here.
You got me this week and part of next week.
Yeah, part next week?
I have to go pick my dad up from the airport. His flight comes in at like 10 p.m.
On Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. So, and then I lose you for
and then
2
you lose
weeks.
me for 2 weeks because I'm at camp.
And then Robert is working. He's having to work late. So he's not here. But
Hopefully
we did.
It's cooler for him later in the evening.
Still a trillion degrees at night with the sun down.
So bad.
It is insanely hot here. But we did get a replacement. It's maybe a lateral shift. But go ahead and bring in our replacement. It's Sean Gray.
Oh, I do
Fuck
like
you
the
too, bitch.
purple wall.
Yeah. Oh, I got the actual sponsor banner in finally in the mail like 2 days
cool.
ago because we had to change it. We had some of the sponsors that dropped off and some additions, and I changed that thing like 10-15 times, so it's finally
I
here
believe
and it'll be at Shreveport. We'll take some pictures of it.
That's
So
awesome.
We're gonna put the other Herps banner behind us here, so
Cool.
That's cool.
We need to get that plant that I posted earlier in the Herps Vineyard
that's
group.
really cool. Actually,
Did
I
you
saw
see,
that.
Katie?
I haven't. I was in a meeting
It's
earlier.
that was
purple on
really
the outside. It's like a pitcher plant. It's got bright lime green inside.
Yeah.
With purple.
Oh,
on
that's cool. I'll pull that
Yeah,
up and
very
look
cool.
at it in just a second.
it.
Yeah, I was at school earlier. I had a meeting.
You want to go ahead and do our sponsor stuff?
Yeah, if you're looking for a high quality PVC rack, look no further than Lone Star Reptile Racks. They offer a variety of sizes for all types of snakes, geckos, rats, and more. You can even order something custom. Shipping is available, or you can plan to pick up at a Herps Reptile show near you. Visit lsreptileracks.com to reach out to Lone Star Reptile Racks and place your order today.
.com. Still.
Mhm.
Also, Little Shop of Horrors is a small feeder and pet supply business based in San Antonio, and they regularly schedule feeder meetups around San Antonio as well as other neighboring towns and cities. They offer shipping on their feeder insects, ice spots, and working on starting shipping on their feeder rodents too. All feeders are raised on a nutritional diet that optimizes the health of the reptiles and the amphibians that consume them. So check out our friends over at Lil's Shop of Horrors, LAL''S, for your feeder needs. Okay. And then there's another sponsor.
Shut up and just do the dates.
I can't quite put my finger on it.
Thank you, Darren.
What?
Happy belated birthday.
We'll get to that in a second. So our other sponsor, Herps Reptile Shows. We have Sean on, and I'm not going to ask Sean the dates because he doesn't know the dates. So
I bet he does.
think so.
He knows Shreveport is
Shreveport's
this
this weekend.
That's as far as his brain is gone.
Slidell is July 24th and 25th, I believe.
Yeah.
22nd and 23rd.
Oh, you
Is
were
it 22nd,
close.
23rd? Okay, I was close. Hey, I was in the right month.
There you go.
You were in the right one.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, we're at Shreveport's this weekend. That's what we're excited about.
And then there's a Corpus Christi show.
Let me go through it real
Yes.
quick.
Okay, go.
All right, so the Shreveport, of course, is this weekend, June 24th and 25th. Slidell is July 22nd, 23rd. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I'm not going to be there. That's too far away. July 29th and 30th. Hopefully, there's no poop outside.
Nope.
Remember the flies that one time were.
Yeah, when they didn't clean the stalls next to us. Yeah, that
Oh
was
my
horrible.
God. It was horrible.
They got rid of that entire crew. They have a whole new staff. It was so much better last time.
They should. It was miserable. Like
Yep,
it
it was.
I've never seen so many flies.
Yep.
Corpus Christi, Texas is August 12th and 13th. We'll already be back at school when that happens.
Mhm.
Horrible
Gross.
for you guys. Yep.
Yeah. We actually have to go back like the last day of July.
Yeah, July 31st.
July 31st is our first day back for teacher workshops.
Gross. Off to Sean's home, Bryan College Station, August 19th and 20th.
Yep.
Then back to Conroe. We were just at Conroe. That show came out last week. We put our interviews last week. Conroe, September 9th and 10th. I was really excited about some of those interviews that we got for the Conroe show.
Mhm.
I haven't had a chance to go through it, but I heard some good stuff. So I
They were
shared it.
great.
We got to
Yeah.
talk Indigos, which was awesome.
Yeah. Ricky's
All right.
awesome,
Yeah, we got to talk with Don Shores,
which
which
is strange.
I didn't think that would happen, but that was a lot of fun.
I didn't sell any snakes at his table, unfortunately, but he sold a bunch.
We who else did we talk to? Oh,
You had Fatal Mantis on?
no, we didn't have time to get them on.
Oh, you didn't get them on?
No, they're going to come on the next one, though.
Gotcha.
We had Pet Den on. We talked with
Dennis.
No,
Aaron.
Aaron.
Oh, Aaron came on.
Yeah, we had Aaron.
Yeah, Dennis looked at him and said, "That's all you."
No, we had Tim Bailey on. We had from Bailey and Bailey's Reptiles, we had him on.
Tim Bailey.
So that was a good one.
It was.
Yeah, it's a good lineup.
And then speaking of Tim Bailey in Louisiana, Baton Rouge show is September 16th and 17th, which is still the Gonzalez show. It's not Baton Rouge.
Yep.
Just saying. It's in Gonzalez. I like that venue. That's a decent venue.
The venue is good. Tables suck. Their tables were rough.
Yeah.
But easy parking, easy access. It's right off the highway. Everything's really close. Restaurants, hotels, everything was right there. Great crowd for the first show. That was, way beyond what we expected. Huge. One of the longest lines we've had this year at a show opening up, believe it or not.
And if someone's significant other doesn't like reptiles, there is an outlet mall they can go shop at while you're at the.
Yeah, they can go to that. That's an outlet mall that actually has shops in it.
Is still open.
It has nice stuff there.
Is it functioning? Awesome.
There's also a Cabela's at that exit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good location, and parking is great there.
Parking is really easy.
We've had some parking issues in recent time at some places. Parking is great at that one.
Yep.
And then out to Waco, Texas, October 21st and 22nd. So.
Yep.
The Dr. Pepper Museum and Factories in Waco.
Never been there.
I know that was super random.
I went to the in Dublin years ago. The Dr. Pepper.
I want to do that one. I want to do the Dr. Pepper Factory tour.
Yeah, it was fun.
We'd have to drive to Waco.
Is it far from here?
No.
3 hours? 4 hours?
It's an hour. How far are you from my house?
2.
So yeah, it's an hour from here.
See, that's not bad.
It's 3 hours.
We could
3
totally
hours.
do that. That's a fun trip.
Totally do that.
It's a day trip.
Before the last weekend of July, because you have to go back to work.
I know.
Gross. And I haven't really had a summer off. I've been doing a internship at the University of Houston all
Yeah,
summer.
I was going to ask you how that was going. I'm excited about that.
Well, let's bring in our other people because they might want to talk about your nerdy stuff too.
We don't care about those other people.
We'll bring them in a set. They're fine. People have
Lee
seen
and Amanda
Max's
said
face.
hi. Hi, Lee and Amanda. Max is up there. Jason Milradovich. What's up, man? DGB Exotics. Hello.
Do you need glasses? You're kind of like
My laptop's way
far away.
Oh, gotcha.
So I have my laptop. I have my camera zoomed in.
Oh, that's funny.
So
I'll have to send you a video later that I made of the fish that I'm working with.
It's such a mess.
It's hilarious. It's got music with it. It's pretty good.
okay.
Let's
You
just
sent
say
me fish porn.
it is fish porn. But I put the right music with it.
I mean, that's
The music
as long as you have the right music.
The
You do like
music did
candles
make
and
it
stuff.
funny.
I overlaid "Let's Get It On."
Yeah, you have to
It was funny.
do that.
I
with my
showed
kids.
it. I showed it to the
I was gonna ask
professor,
if you'd shown anybody yet.
and I showed him that, and he laughed, and I was like, "Can we use that video?" I was like, "Yeah, I've got a version without the music." He goes, "Okay."
Greatness. That's great.
All right, let's go ahead and bring our guest in. First, there's Max.
As always.
Max went on another trip and didn't get eaten.
Yeah.
Max had an amazing time on this trip. If I'm living correctly through his photographs, though.
You know what though? He didn't get eaten, and I'm let down.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he got a picture of a normal ball python. I mean, what the?
In the wild.
The rarest
It
thing.
was in the
Holy
wild.
crap!
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was a rock. Yeah.
I thought it
Yeah.
was cool.
Let
Just a normal though.
me let Max. You go ahead and introduce the other guest.
So this is Dr. Ben German. He's a emergency. He's an emergency department doctor, and he has so many stories. And he's super fun at parties and in Africa because you hear about all the parasites, all the things that can go wrong with you. But if you spray DEET,
The right person to have around Max and animals.
Yep.
Just saying.
it's the right person to have just around Max because I spray DEET in my eyes,
Well,
and
that's
I
not
got
good. You're not supposed to do that.
and I got an eye wash in the
Well,
middle.
that's how you keep malaria from getting into your eyes.
So if you're in the jungle, is an eye wash just somebody peeing in your eye socket? I mean, it's
Thankfully,
sterile.
no.
It's
Look,
Doctor,
If it has to be,
Dr. German's like, yeah. I mean,
it's a sterile liquid. It'll
I'm
work.
just saying.
I mean, normally you pay extra for it, but
That's true. That's true.
yeah, that's why you carry extra water. Yeah.
Right.
I got back. When I got back, these water bottles, I feel like
They're
Shaq.
still $8.
Well, no, I mean they're just so small, and the water bottles there are like 3 times the size, and you just carry them around like this.
And you drink them down in like one gulp.
Yeah.
You're sweating all the time. I mean, it's
Like Texas.
well, you guys are in Texas, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We
Probably
fit.
the most comparable to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
So
mean,
that-
not just the humidity. The humidity, it's you don't wear cotton there. If you do, it's just you're drenched.
Yeah. Well, welcome, Dr. German.
Thank you.
Glad to have you. Not so much Max. We see him all the time.
I'm the Ricky Gervais. of
Yeah,
the
you know what?
show.
You know what story story Dr. German doesn't have is you getting eaten by an animal.
Not yet. Not
Yeah.
yet.
I mean, this won't be our last trip. That's
Oh
for
my
sure.
You let
I
me
need to-
down in Alaska.
I need to get into one of these trips with you guys for real. Blake's been asking me to go all over and be a bot fly factory with him in
Gross.
Peru. And,
Did y'all see
No.
Corey's photo of the Viper?
yes, the
That was
Viper.
such a good photo.
Such-
Did you see
pretty
Corey's
photo.
photo over Flash that broke?
No.
Oh.
She broke 2.
She was in Guatemala,
I
right?
think it was 2
Yeah.
that she broke. There's one where like the back of the flash, it's still functional, but the back of it is cracked, like it hit something. And then there's
Ouch.
another where like the clip where
Seat,
it
yeah.
where it attaches to the camera just completely broke.
You
But
know,
there's no fixing that one.
so Max talked about all the parasites over there. I'm fine with all those because you know what they don't have is that little catfish in South America has swims a pee hole. That's really the only one I'm worried about.
The kangaroo.
Yep, the only one I'm worried about. I'll
Yeah.
take malaria. I'll take any. I
It's
just
not
don't
as
want
common as
catfish
you-
in my penis.
Yeah, it's
How we
not as
getting,
common as
guys?
you
This
think. I think the bot flies are way more common than a kangaroo.
I'll take a bot fly over a catfish.
But
in my penis.
the bot fly actually turned into a fly today.
so
He was
On
successful.
on him, and it flew
Well,
out.
the larva came out. He put it in a jar,
Fucking
and it
gross.
turned into a fly. He has completed
Wow.
the cycle.
Is that his second or third one? I can't remember which
That's
one
the
we're on.
only one that's lived this long.
That's little.
Yeah.
Why on earth?
Because it's Blake.
It's Blake.
I don't care.
He said
fucking
that was
gross.
the height of his accomplishments in the breeding.
so if we're talking about also broken gear, this is one I lost.
I see
No, I
something
told him.
blurry.
It's
No,
a
like a
360
key fob.
camera. It's
Oh.
Oh yeah, yeah.
scratched. And then TSA threw my camera bag down and broke my UV filter on one of my lenses.
Ooh,
Yeah, like it was smashed.
that's got to be heart wrenching. And for anybody that's traveling with that expensive equipment, you've got to just be like, why can't you just let me take it with you?
So at least
Luckily, it was
way
on
back?
on the way back. But
Yeah.
I mean, Atlanta, there was a lot that went on that was heart wrenching. I met Joe Gatto.
I
From
saw
the
a
I
Right.
saw the picture.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
But yeah, here's the let's
Too
see.
bad he didn't eat you.
Right. But yeah, that was the camera.
That
Damn.
looks like a car charger. Okay.
Yeah. But
God, that's rough.
but yeah, I was pretty over Atlanta.
Well, if you quit trying to sneak drugs in your asshole, they wouldn't stop.
I know,
Stop it,
right?
James?
Not me.
Stop it.
Oh man. Anyways,
Our
What
guest
would-
is like, what in the hell did
I
I
know.
find?
Did I say yes?
no,
to?
he was on.
No,
No,
he's
he's
been-
Max.
Well, he's also, yeah, I was about to say, he's been with Max for a few days.
What
so
would
he
you
understands.
like for us to call you? Would you like for us to call you Dr. German? Would you like for us to call you Ben?
Oh, just call me Ben. That's fine. Yeah.
Ben's cool. Okay.
Ben.
You want to know? what
I
we
just
call
put my
Max?
title up there so people know
You're important.
You're not
You
one.
You
Of,
worked hard for
not
this
one of those
degree.
Yeah,
doctors
right?
who wants to be called doctor.
no.
It's funny. I know a
I
lot
don't
of
think
doctors,
any
and
of
none of
our-
mine
I
are
don't
doctors.
think any of our friends do that
None
we
of
have
them
that are
are.
doctor.
None of them are that doctor.
Like,
You worked hard and paid a lot of money for that title. By all means, use it.
Like Dr. Green has more letters after his name than in his name.
yeah,
Mhm.
we mess with, yeah, we mess with.
Did you see
Spencer
that
a lot. It's
he's
Spencer,
on bite 43?
43 was
Yeah,
the
He's
last
on 44
one.
now.
44?
God,
Yeah.
saw an update about an hour ago.
Is
Yeah.
it because of all the heat?
Well, snakes are moving right
rain.
now, and people are out.
Right.
You know, so
People are
it-
stupid.
But it's
People are
way
stupid.
more. He's at way more than he had last year.
Yes.
yeah.
Well, the tarantulas are out in Mass.
Is that
Excuse me,
starting?
Mass, too.
Has that started already?
Yeah,
Does
it goes May through July.
Does he deal with those as well?
And venomous bites.
But he's not
I-
counting those. He's just counting the snakes.
Snake
His
bite.
just snake bite.
It's all copperheads. It's boring now.
Well, he said there was a dry
Yeah,
bite.
yeah.
He did get a dry bite. Yeah, a
Dry bite.
confirmed dry bite.
I did see tarantulas when we were at what show were we at? Austin.
Yeah, we stayed in the Airbnb
We
and
went-
we went hiking in the little park behind our Airbnb.
It was my first time seeing a live tarantula.
We had a big female that lived in our yard in McKinney.
We
Massive
also-
adult female.
Oh, that's cool.
We
Yeah, it
found
was
that
really
little
cool.
snake
We
under the
found
rock.
I saw my first blind snake on that trip too.
That's a cool one to find.
That was really neat.
We've been seeing a ton of snake bites here in North Carolina too. I mean, it's just that it's that time of year. They're out
Yeah.
moving and people are out
People
doing
are
stuff.
people are off out of school,
Yeah.
on vacations, see a snake, think, oh, I'm gonna go pick it up.
So Ben, is that what you do when you're not traveling the world?
Yeah, I travel as much as I can, but otherwise I'm working in the local ERs and I hear about all the snake bites and try to add expertise on reading those. And it is mostly copperhead bites around here, which makes it a little bit easier. But some of those patients still get pretty significant envenomations. Not as bad as what we saw in Africa, but still pretty miserable experience to have a good copperhead bite.
So your advice would just be suck the venom out and tie a tourniquet around it, right? That's the
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Cut, bleed it out.
Cut it. Yeah, gotta cut.
Go see natural healers, get charred cow's bone tied to it.
Yeah.
That's one thing we saw multiple times. They call it Blackstone. And basically they go to a natural healer and they'll tie it around the bite and it's supposed to suck it out.
Yeah.
And when you can't identify snakes properly, you look at a non-venomous snake and go, oh, well, I got bit. It worked. And then you get actually envenomated and you come to our clinic usually in pretty bad condition if you wait. But,
So, Ben, I want to ask you about that. So as a doctor, and then you go somewhere like that, because that is a religious thing when they go to somewhere like that, the big bites. Do you have to basically sit back and bite your tongue on some of that stuff because you don't want to offend them religiously?
It really is important to respect their cultural beliefs and practices. And so Max is absolutely right. A lot of people go to a traditional healer or a faith healer first, and then if they're getting worse, then we might see them, it might end up being a delayed presentation. So you have to respect their beliefs, but at the same time, tell them why you think you need to do different things as far as giving antivenom, which is really, still the only effective treatment we have for some of these envenomations. And I think by the time most people come to the snakebite clinic, they realize that. They realize they're getting worse, things aren't looking good, and they're seeking, a different type of help. But I think there's a way to do it where you respect their beliefs and at the same time provide education on why we're doing things the way we do them. And we didn't run into any real pushback, I don't think, Max, on that. Once people showed up.
Yeah, the one thing that I learned about when we were there was, and I didn't even consider it, it is like a slap in the face if you throw away their blood. So when we were doing protein samples, if you take it from where the, you probably know the terminology better, Ben. If you take it from the IV, you got to toss away like the first 3 ounces because there's saline in there and you'll get an incorrect proportion. So most of the time, instead, they did finger pricks.
Right. Yeah. Things are definitely different there. Some things are very different. Some things really aren't that different. I feel like when they were presenting for help, then they were pretty receptive to most everything we wanted to do. And what really helps, though, is we have Ghanaian doctors, Ghanaian nurses that are there all the time. So they staff the clinic when we can't be there. And so I think having people that speak their language, people that live in their area, telling them what they think is the right thing to do, that helps a ton. It's not just us coming over there for 2 weeks and then leaving.
Yeah, well, for the people who are listening who don't really understand exactly what you're talking about, it's the Asclepius Foundation. You guys are doing. Can you kind of explain what you guys actually were there for and what you were doing?
Sure. Yeah, so we're with the Asclepius Snakebite Foundation, and this is a foundation that recognized the need to provide better care for envenomations in Guinea and other parts of Africa, and really all parts of the developing world where people don't have access to good antivenoms or more modern medical care. And it was formed by a group of docs and paramedics and other people, and all of us have a very passionate interest in snakes and snakebite. I mean, most of us started out as herpers or herpetologists, and that led, we got into medicine, and then this is a perfect way to merge those interests. But snakebite in the U.S. it's a problem for sure. We see 5,000 to 8,000 bites a year here in the U.S., but but very few deaths. I mean, 2 or 3 or 4 people maybe a year will die. But you start looking at parts of Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the numbers of deaths are staggering. I mean, for one, we don't know exactly how many people die because a lot of these regions don't keep accurate numbers, right?
Yeah.
They may go unreported. And then besides death, you're talking about really disabling injuries. The people who do survive, these big vipers, the spitting cobras, I mean, they cause pretty devastating injuries to extremities. And so what we try to do is work with clinicians, doctors and nurses in these countries to provide them with good antivenom and good training as far as treating bites and other things that we do here as far as emergency medicine and critical care medicine to try to improve the level of care.
Have you guys have labs set up around Ghana in that area, or are you getting the antivenom from the labs that they have already there? Do you see what I'm saying? Is that something that you guys have set up?
So there's the antivenom we use right now is called Inoserp, and it's made by a Spanish company. It's out of Spain and Mexico. And it's a polyvalent antivenom that covers all of the important snakes of sub-Saharan Africa. So they have a version for Northern Africa and the Middle East as well. But as far as the snakes we're really worried about in sub-Saharan Africa are, of course, the mambas, cobras, the different vipers. And so it provides coverage against everything that would be likely to cause death or severe injury. And, the importance of a polyvalent antivenom is, and Max can attest to this too. A lot of people that come in, they didn't see the snake that bit them, or they got a glimpse of it. And in the US, it's a lot easier because people can usually describe, it looked like a copperhead or cottonmouth, or it had rattles. But there, you might be talking about a small cobra, or was it a stiletto snake, or, what type of viper was it? It's a lot more complicated when you get into all those different African venomous snakes. And so a lot of times we don't get a good description of what bit somebody. And so having an antivenom that covers everything reduces the margin for error.
So I said, that's pretty cool that you're able to have one that covers everything.
Well, because here in the States, we have one that covers our pit vipers, but then doesn't cover the coral snake.
Yeah,
right.
Which is a lot of like cobra. So
yeah, and we actually have 2 here. So we have Crofab and Anavip.
Yeah.
And so depending on where you're at and which doctor.
Whatever happened with the venom they were working on, I know this was years ago, but they were working on synthesizing venom that was extracted from Heloderma, that was supposedly going to change the antivenom world. But I guess it kind of got sidelined. Maybe that was pharmaceutical companies involved, or not sure, but I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that recently. You have any input on that?
There's no synthetic antivenom yet, or as far as, antivenom that's purely made in the lab without using snake venom and without using animals like horses and sheep. The conventional antivenoms are still what we use. I mean, they're different than what was around 30, 40 years ago. They're more purified and,
yeah, this one was specifically being extracted. The proteins were being extracted from Heloderma venom, from Gila and Rhea and beaded lizard. But I haven't heard anything about it in forever. I
know they're always working. They're always working on different techniques to, for instance, the monoclonal antibodies we heard about during COVID. That was one of the things we used to treat COVID early on. Were these antibodies that were able to be produced in the lab that had some effectiveness against the COVID virus. And that's one of the areas that they're looking at, is if you could find antibodies that neutralize, broad classes of venom proteins, and you could make those antibodies in the lab, then you might be able to take away the need for milking snakes and injecting that venom into sheep and horses to produce the antibodies.
Gotcha.
It's tricky because, let's take Africa, for example, where you have so many different venomous snakes of different families and pretty widely different on the, evolutionary scale. Their proteins are different too in the venom. So you have to be able to neutralize each one of those important toxins in the venom, and that would probably require different antibodies to do it.
Mhm.
And up till now, we haven't found a more efficient way than just letting an animal's immune system
Build the
produce
antibodies.
all the different antibodies against those different toxins.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I mean, one of the most interesting things for me was watching milking of snakes, talking to somebody on our team, Dr. Kerr Smith, and it just because there's a lot that's so different. So, for example, the stiletto snake, you know, you have your hemotoxins, your neurotoxins. Well, the stiletto is the only one that does serotoxins, which does cardiac stuff.
Oh wow.
And it bites weird.
Yeah, and it bites you
Yeah.
with the side of its face.
There is a video of a guy getting bit by
Yeah, and then
stiletto. Oh,
I just posted the photos that I took of the stiletto we found with Mike Clarkson's thumb. And, you know, I told him we found it, and he goes, yeah, rule of thumb, don't pick it up.
yeah.
Yeah.
No touching.
Yeah, that is the one where you don't grab behind the head because it can still bite you.
No.
Yeah.
That's
So
so
milking
crazy.
it, I understand, like, my time came to an end, but I'm still upset that I didn't get to film and photo it getting milked just because it is a complex issue.
Yeah.
I know Dr. Fry's milked some, but yeah, it's and finding it was a story because we went to a place we call Muhammad's Forest because of the family there. One thing that's like pretty wild, and Ben can talk about this too, is just you walk through a peanut field or you walk through some kind of agriculture, and then you're in this forest and you find 3 mambas and a cobra in a night. You find, you know, like you just find a large number of snakes right next to where these people live. So one family, you know, the guy's name was Muhammad, and I go, and when we find the stiletto, the ants there's an ant Wikipedia, and it's an ant wiki, and you can just scroll through the ant species of Guinea, and there's so many of them.
Oh my God, it's so
Like
crazy.
you can walk up to a pile of leaves, and when you get close, it starts breathing. Basically,
Yeah.
you just hear shh, shh, and if you touch that pile of leaves, it comes alive.
Yeah.
So we were tucking our pants into our socks, but on this night, I got eaten up by ants, and you know, you just like as soon as you think you're done getting bit, there's just another somewhere.
Max, it
on
doesn't
you.
count as getting eaten by an animal.
No, they didn't finish him off.
No.
They
But-
didn't finish him off.
But after that time, that's when we were walking back, and Kara spotted the stiletto on the path, and it's just right there in front of us.
I don't think I could never travel.
That's really cool.
The ants around the world would kill me.
Nah.
Like,
You'd live.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you
They
definitely.
didn't kill Max.
I
You'll live.
swell so bad just from firing.
Well,
Like,
this is
I've
what-
never been told I'm allergic, but I just swell so
This
bad.
is why I brought Ben on, because he'll tell you about the carpet ants killing people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, some of those. You know, South America has their army ants, and
Yeah.
Africa has their own version that. You know, they just come in a swarm, and you know the ants are coming because you see all the other insects jumping out of the way ahead of them, and you know there's cases where people are asleep in their house and the ants come in, and you know if it's an older person or a baby, I mean the ants will eat them, and
They're called carpet ants.
yeah, it's the African version of the army ant, and they call them different things in different regions of Africa, but we definitely saw a few of those. You just see a big.
It's just
You
like
know,
a
river of
line.
ants.
Just,
Oh
my
gosh.
multiple.
I've seen some really cool videos of that, and he's not lying. I mean, everything
are
on the forest floor
huge.
gets out of the way.
Well, because it's kind of like the fire ants, where it's like one bites and it releases a signal to the rest to
Mhm.
bite. Well, it's different when they go inside your mouth, your nose, like into your lungs, and they start
Ugh.
biting you. So if you swell up there, Katie, like you're like,
Yeah.
you know,
You want to be careful. You know, if you're standing in one place for a long time, you better look around and just see what you're standing near. You know, and it's easy to do because you get distracted. You see a mamba up in the tree, and you're all sitting there with the lights focused on it, and so
Then
and you know what I'm laughing at.
yeah, oh yeah.
And
You
here
want
I
to tell
am,
that
like,
story?
and here I
Yeah.
am just worrying about
Did a
like,
mamba
cave
poop-
crickets in a
Did
cabin
a mamba
camp in
poop
2
on your
weeks.
face?
No,
Please tell me a mamba pooped on your face.
no,
Max.
worse. And this was for Jordan. We had a green mamba in a tree. We're about to go up, and I turned to Jordan and I go, "Hey, give me like an on-location interview, like what's going on?" And I put my light on him, and all of a sudden, like you see it frame by frame in the video, this moth goes into his ear
Oh,
and starts beating on his eardrum, like that's how he describes it. So Ben like has this camelback, starts spraying into his ear, but they end up having to get like the like a needle, a catheter, yeah, Ben, if you want to finish that story.
Wow.
Oh, it was. I mean, yeah. Jordan is giving the interview, and it looks like he got shot. I mean, he just goes down,
Spins it a 360.
Yeah,
God
and
knows
then we
what's on the
realized-
floor that he's about to get
Yeah,
on his body
yeah.
on top of that.
And I see this in the ER sometimes where people are sleeping and a bug crawls in their ear, and the bug will keep trying to crawl in and hitting the eardrum, and it's one of the worst feelings you can have because it's not easy to get something out, that's way in there. So we usually have to irrigate it out with a syringe and water, or sometimes we'll use lidocaine, which kills the insect. But we're on the side of a mountain, underneath a 6-foot green mamba in the tree that we're trying to get out, and that's the other good thing is we bring medical supplies with us when we're out there in the field. When we're not treating bites, we still have medical kits with us, and so we were able to
MacGyver it. I got a half a popsicle stick, some gum, and a leaf.
You know what?
It out.
Go back to our original thing. You could have just peed in his ear.
You could have peed in his ear. There you go.
I think that was the next thing Max was going to do, but no, we got it out, and then we went up and went after the mamba. But it's a little different here. I mean, when I'm herping in the U.S., I'm not carrying antivenom with me or medical kits typically, besides basic stuff. But there,
we're lucky in Texas if people are wearing anything but Crocs around here when they go herping. I mean, for real.
I mean, I've been known to remove copperheads in
I mean, we take it for granted.
He was so mad at me that night.
We do take it for granted.
Had to miss Acostas, a night adder. Like he had just taken off his shoes, and we're like in flip flops, and we're running to this neighbor's house. He goes one way and sees this girl holding a dead rat, and he goes, "Well, that's not a snake." And we're over there grabbing this night adder in flip flops and shorts. But because the neighbors, they'll come by, they'll show us snakes. Like we had a pair of boys bring us a ball python. Like they're like,
that
"Oh,
was
hey."
Really cool."
Yeah.
I did go naked herping one time. Lori's probably told that story. I was really intoxicated, but I was in the hill country of Austin, and I got out of the hot tub, and I just had my slides on and my snake hook and my headlamp, and I was off in the woods.
Oh my god!
There's a trouser joke. A trouser snake joke there.
No, I didn't find anything, but I didn't get bit. But we do take it for granted, like he's saying. When we go out herping, we gotta, if for certain places you have to have your vest on the road, roadways.
Could you
like
imagine
that.
having to go to the ER and explain?
But really, that's about all we
bit on
take.
the penis.
Because you were naked.
I mean, that would have been a cool story, though. I mean, depends on what bit me.
Except for when it rots off and they have to cut the penis off.
Yeah. If you have a stiletto snake bite it, there's a story there that you don't.
Well,
want
I'm not going to be naked herping in Africa, so
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I did that one time. Really, really bad. Shouldn't have done that. But again, we do take it for granted, like you're saying. You take medical kits. You've got antivenom. We go out and remove rattlesnakes and copperheads, and I have hooks and some sticks sometimes.
Yeah, if you get bitten here, I mean, you're not anywhere that far from phone service, and you're probably going to have a helicopter come get you. And
I'm calling Spencer. I got his phone number.
Yeah.
I got 3 kolaches. Treat me.
Yeah, right. But yeah,
that brings up,
crazy.
That's another interesting thing. A lot of the bites in Africa are on the feet, and people are wearing sandals or going barefoot.
Mm-hmm.
And some people will ask, well, why not just wear boots? Why not wear good shoes?
They don't have
and then
them.
You realize that it'll just rain. It'll drop 3 inches of rain in 30 minutes and just pour unpredictably. And if you're wearing shoes that, or footwear that won't dry quickly, it's just not practical. Right. So,
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you'll see somebody walking down the way, no flashlight, nothing. It's like they're just walking on a road, pitch black.
Yeah, walking in the dark. I mean, it's really the same thing we see here with a lot of our copperhead bites. Is people, they're walking around after dark with, sandals on or barefoot, just around their house. Usually, they're taking out the trash or walking the dog, and they step on a copperhead.
Yep.
And
my biggest issue here is like squishing the toad that lives on my porch.
Trying not to squish.
Like
she doesn't squish the toad.
No,
but my biggest problem is I try to squish the toad.
Avoid it.
What are you, Mario?
No.
just put an old shoe out there like mine. I have the shoe toads out front still. The shoe toads are still there, and we did find one copperhead. Yeah, we did find one copperhead on the back porch, baby. But
there's a place that Robert and I go road cruising, and he and I talk all the time that if we lived anywhere in that area where there's a lot of houses out there, would never walk through our yards at night without snake boots on. Like,
Oh,
because we
God,
catch
no.
so many cottonmouths
Yeah,
in that area.
you know,
and I'm like, God, it'd
it's
be
like-
everywhere.
I live in an area where cane brakes are supposedly really thick here.
Notice how he
Um,
said supposedly.
Because
Yeah.
I haven't seen one. I've had so many old time herpers tell me that OSR, the road that runs by my house, that from here to Bryan is loaded.
Well, I mean, and we were
With
walking
cane
through
brakes.
tons of tall grass when we thought we lost your Aldabra, but it was still inside
Yeah,
the fence.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just, yeah.
No, that was the leopard tortoise we were hunting. That was a leopard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was
Came
right
out-
when you
as
first
soon as it
built
started raining, it came running across the field. Yeah, well, the Burmese brown got out the other day.
Well, no, it never actually got out. It was right when you first got it, and it just
Yeah.
dug itself in a hole, and there was grass
Yeah.
around it.
Yeah, that was the Burmese brown. I mean, that was the leopard tortoise.
Leopard? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had the drone up and stuff. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the leopard tortoise.
You had a drone out looking
You
for
can't
this
miss
bull.
Kona.
Max was there, so there was
You,
a drone.
yeah, you can't miss Kona.
I
Oh,
I also had a drone watch one of our team members climb a 25-meter tree, catch a green mamba.
Oh, look at you, world traveler, saying meters. Fuck you. You're in a meter.
He started
Hey,
saying
you're lucky
meters.
I'm not fluent in French right now.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Yeah,
no.
that was using the drone to find mambas was awesome. I mean,
I was
Yeah.
gonna
and-
ask how often you used it while you were there.
I was actually going to ask you if you had any of the restrictions that we have here, like that for Friday night or anything. I doubt
talk-
it.
I'll talk a little bit about that when we're not on a podcast.
Did you almost get arrested by the
No,
African
no.
Secret Service? 'Cause-
No.
Okay.
But let me explain it in a very in the way we explained a lot of things. A man is fishing and he has a whole bucket full of fish, and Parks and Wildlife comes up and he goes, "Do you have a license to fish?" And he goes, "Oh, well, these are my pets. I let them go and they come back." And
Yeah.
Park Ranger says,
Heard that.
"Okay, prove it." So he dumps the bucket out, all the fish scatter, and they don't come back. And he goes, "Well, what happened to the fish?" And the guy goes, "What
What
fish?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So break laws. What laws?
So were you in a park? Were you in a national park area or yeah?
Yeah.
What I mean, kind of explain what you were doing there and what, since you're working for the foundation, what regulations you had to follow and what you didn't have to follow.
Yes.
How-
Go
how
ahead and list how the foundation made a mistake by letting you work for them. Go ahead.
How,
Yeah,
how was
Max.
the location chosen? Like,
so
other than the fact that there was a need.
right.
We've
So
had
Jordan
right?
met Salou Baldy, who had the clinic there, and had the very introduction. So he saw the need, and Jordan's been going for many years now. And so he had that association through, he met them through Kate Jackson, John Philippe. And so how the location was picked, it was just like a village that very high percentage of bites. I think it's, Ben, we just talked about it in the group chat. I think it was 35% of bites for the country.
Wow.
Yeah, they
Um,
see
In that one village.
Guinea sees a ton of snake bites to begin with, but then the city where we're at is called Kindia, which is it's about 60 miles
never mind.
from the capital of Guinea, and it's sort of the perfect setup for snake bites because it's a widely spaced, more rural community. I mean, there's a lot of people that live there. It's it's definitely a city, but then the suburbs, I guess you'd call it, stretch out very widely, and everybody has their own, personal farm plot. They've got, they grow their own crops. There's patches of forest everywhere. It's actually very rocky. I mean, a lot of the terrain looks kind of like West Texas, like out when you get out to Big Bend with all the rock formations. And so it's perfect for snakes. There's tons of snakes. And then there's people that are in the environment all the time, farming and, just living. And so there's a research facility there that was started by Salou Balde is the name of the Ghanaian, and he's actually a herpetologist, a Ghanaian herpetologist. They were studying the snakes, and they saw how many people were getting bitten, and people would bring their bitten family members to him and ask for help, and they didn't have any way to treat them. They were doing the herpetology work, but they didn't have any of the medical resources. So they had a lot of bad outcomes many years ago. I mean, people were dying and people were ending up with these horrible injuries. So he was the one originally who started this snakebite clinic. And the idea was, this clinic is only going to treat snake bites. The hospital can treat, all the other stuff, but we're going to specialize in snake bites. And at some point, Max mentioned Jordan and Nick Brandehoff, who are two of the founders of ASF. They got involved and said, we want to work with you guys and help you get better antivenom and a steady supply of antivenom. I mean, what happened in the past is they'd use it and it would run out, and it might be 6 months or a year until they got more. So the idea is keep it stocked all the time, and then we go out there periodically, usually once or twice a year, to bring other supplies, and then also work on training for again all these other medical techniques. But it's worked really well. The mortality for snakebite in that area used to be 25 to 30%. And there's a really high percentage of mamba bites and cobra bites. And that's why the mortality was so high. They've cut that mortality down to, it's right around 3% now since they started the clinic and have a steady supply of antivenom. So, really, it's a very successful model in reducing snakebite deaths and injuries. Mm-hmm. And if you had other clinics like this in other parts of Guinea and other parts of Africa, there's no reason why you couldn't replicate that success. Just have people who know how to treat bites, give them the tools to do it, and you'll have good outcomes.
So I saw one other cool thing that reminded me, because we were talking drones earlier, and we're talking Africa and medicine. I saw this video, this place in Africa where they use drones to deliver medicine to these remote places.
Mark Rober did a video on that.
Yeah.
It's like, so we looked into, I think initially there was a period of time where we looked into working with them or with a company like that, but it ended up not being practical, just because it's like, okay, well, we can just keep the antivenom on hand, because us dropping that percentage down, one of the biggest hurdles is getting patients to the clinic, because the model of treatment is very successful because of just simple things, just airway management, getting the antivenom. We had a 23-year-old come in, respiratory arrest, complete like on death's doorstep. And I go to interview him when he's getting discharged the next day, and I nearly walk past him because I do not recognize him. This is a guy who was, going to die if he didn't get treatment, and he's talking to me. Well, he's through translators, because he spoke Susu, then it went to French, and then it went to English. But he's basically talking to me the next day. And so, but people go on the back of motor taxis and drive 5 hours on really, really rough roads to get to us, huge potholes, dirt roads, barely anything's paved there. And so we never ended up working with them. But yeah, like Ben said, the model of training, just even positioning to where, and of course I'm parroting a lot of this, just positioning for airway to prevent somebody from aspirating is going to drop your mortality a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's very simple tools that, so when we're fundraising, it's since it's 100% volunteer-based organization, it really goes to you get the biggest bang for your buck if you're looking to make a difference donating.
I know we talked about this when we had Brent on, but I'm trying to remember. My dad in the chat asked, is the program sustainable and repeatable to establish in other regions? And I know.
Yes. Yeah. So we've got our eyes on a couple other places. We want to make sure, rather than spreading yourself too thin, like I do with my hobbies, we want to show a successful model completely. So there's a couple other steps we want to take in Guinea, but we have our eyes on a couple other places. But when you're approaching, pharmaceutical companies asking for donations, you want to be able to show them, hey, this really works. But being on the ground there, hopefully, as I put up these videos and photos, it really helps show this is it's extraordinary stuff. I'm completely impressed with everyone I was there with. I mean, it's just watching how we had a boy that he was actually a burn victim. He was there, and Ben would change his dressings, and this boy had the biggest pain tolerance of burn dressings. But he started walking while we were there. He wasn't able to go to school before. His mother had to carry him everywhere. His mother had malaria when we were there. She still did our laundry, did our and would carry him around in the middle of the night to take. Now he's walking.
Yeah.
So,
That's cool.
Ben, when you're there, I know Max is there with the camera just getting in the way. But when you're there, are you there doing working in the clinic, or are you there just supervising? Like, what are you doing while you're over there?
The best way to describe it is, there's always something happening, and if you have some downtime, just try to do something else, and something's going to happen. I mean, try to sit down on your computer and type something out, because somebody's going to run up to the clinic with a bite, or somebody's going to say, hey, there's a cobra at our neighbor's house. And so there's always something going on. And the highest priority is treating bites. So, we were always in communication with the clinic. And if a bite came in, then they would call us and we would stop what we were doing and go to the clinic. But other than that, I loved it because I got to help the herpetologists out, looking for snakes to get venom samples from. So, if there was no active bite being treated, or if the bites were all stabilized, then we were out herping. And like Max was saying, you don't have to go far to herp. You can walk out the door of the clinic or of where we were staying. Yeah. And, there's mango trees everywhere. And it turns out green mambas love mango trees because the mangoes bring in the birds. And so the mamas just hang out up in the trees and wait for birds to come. So, and which is how people get bitten, right? Picking fruit and doing agricultural work. But, if it was, treating bites, helping the herpetological team, or, and other medical conditions would come into our clinic, and obviously we're not going to turn anybody away if they have other issues, whether it's malaria or, wounds or things like that. We saw a lot of scorpion stings, actually. That's one of the other challenges is, somebody's walking in the dark and they feel something, poke their foot and they have severe pain or some neurologic symptoms. You have to differentiate. Is this a scorpion or is this a cobra? So you watch them, you check blood work if you're worried about a viper bite. But after a period of time, it's usually easy to tell with, this was probably a scorpion, not, a snake where we need to give antivenom. But, we spent time working on the clinic, stocking the clinic. There was always something to do, in other words. And so you try to prioritize what's the most important task at the time and do that. And then, do whatever else you can when you're not treating bites.
The bottom of that list is making sure that Max stays alive, didn't get eaten.
I mean, when Ben thought he had downtime, I'm like, hey, come hold my flash. And a lot of my photos wouldn't be nearly as good if it weren't for Ben, because it's just getting that extra angle or different things like that. Yeah, but I paid it back. I gave him his cobra photo. So
that normal ball python's going to be on the cover of the next National Geographic.
Well, I mean, if you look at Reptile magazine, it's just it's also fun pictures now.
That was so cool to see ball pythons crawling around in the wild. I mean, something I've seen since I was a kid, obviously, and but now you're in their native habitat.
Domain.
And
I think it's kind of cool.
I think it's
so,
cool. Like I can't wait to go to Australia and go chase bearded dragons and shit. Like I'm so excited about doing that. But again, you see something that we take for granted again in the United States, like the ball python on every table of every show. But seeing something in the wild is, Ben, you have to understand that we're just fucking with Max, right?
Oh yeah, no,
that's
of course.
we all love Max, but
I'm not.
Yeah.
So Ben, I got two questions.
No, it is cool. It is cool to see.
I got two questions. We talked about percentages of snake bites and deaths and all that. How many bites does that one clinic see in a year come through the door?
So it's between 500 and 800 bites a year.
Wow.
Which is, I mean, that's an incredible number. And, again, one of the things that makes Guinea unique and Kindia unique is the percentage of neurotoxic bites. So the mambas and the cobras, it's a relatively high percentage, anywhere 20 to 30%. In other parts of Africa, the vipers definitely predominate. And so, if you get into slightly drier areas, you're seeing mostly saw-scaled vipers and puff adders, and which are still, a problem, and definitely can be deadly, like the neurotoxic bites. But the neurotoxic bites present some additional challenges, like Max was saying, with airway management. With a mamba bite, obviously you have less time. I mean, you're dealing with hours, if you're lucky. And the way the venom works, it causes fluid release from your airways. So you start, drooling and getting fluid buildup in your airways, and then you start getting paralyzed. So you're full of fluid, and then you're unable to swallow, you're unable to breathe,
You aspirate.
and that can lead to death in 2 to 4 hours, sometimes
That's
sooner.
terrifying.
Mhm.
It's really, mamba venom is like nature's nerve gas, really. I mean, it is impressively toxic stuff. And so that makes the area unique. Again, there's lots of cobra bites, and the forest cobras are common. The blackneck spitting cobras are common. The envenomation syndromes they produce are really quite different from each other. The forest cobra is more of a neurotoxic venom. It causes paralysis, not as much of the fluid buildup as with mamba bites, but
You still see it in their lips and their eyes.
Yeah. You start seeing paralysis from your head progressing down, and when it gets to your diaphragm, and you stop breathing. But yeah, a cobra bite victim, forest cobra bite victim, they can't open their eyes. They have trouble moving any of their facial muscles. Then, when it starts hitting the diaphragm, which is like the cobra bite Max was talking about, when he came in, he was shutting down. And, without antivenom, the best chance they have is putting in a breathing tube, breathing for them, which is a big deal there. I mean, that basically means somebody has to bag, how you have the bag attached to a breathing tube. Somebody has to do that for them.
Manually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, manually. And if they don't get antivenom, that's going to be days, weeks that someone has to breathe for them, which is just not practical.
I just did the math, and based off the numbers, just for everybody else, prior to the clinic, you're talking roughly 180 to 200 people a year dying from snake bites, if it's 500, 600 bites. And then after the clinic, you're talking 17 people.
Or less. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And most of the people who die get to the clinic too late. And, again, we take patients from a large area. The transportation is very difficult. Most people arrive on the back of, motorcycle or scooter.
Which is hard enough to sit on the back. Like when I had my backpack, it took a lot of core muscle.
Especially while losing feeling and the ability to control your muscles.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah. So if somebody's, in the throes of an envenomation, like getting that when I posted for Giving Tuesday, Fatuoma, who showed up, and she had ridden 60 miles on the back of that thing.
Damn.
And usually what they'll do is they'll have the motorcycle operator, they'll put the patient right behind them, and then a third person to sandwich the patient in.
So that they don't fall.
And if they get there too late and it's a mamba bite or a bad cobra bite, a lot of times, they might be dead when they show up.
Oh God.
So what's the general feeling regarding snakes in that region by locals? Are they revered, or are they respected, or is it something like rednecks in Texas, like I'm gonna shoot it with my shotgun,
right?
Or is it understanding that they're part of nature?
There are definitely people. So I talked to Salu about this in my interview, where when I get it fully translated and out, he talks about, it's like people really respect nature around, but they do, generally snakes are killed there. But it's not like they go out, hunting for them, but it's just like, because of like the commonality, it's, I guess they have a better understanding that trying to kill a snake can get you killed.
Gotcha.
Like if a redneck is trying to kill one with a shovel, you know,
Yeah.
and he gets bit, you know, he's
Yeah.
just going to have a really bad day, most likely.
Yeah. Yeah.
There, it's like, you know, you give them the distance and you get somebody professional.
Gotcha.
And so that's why, you know, that's why education is a very big part of what the foundation tries to do, because, you know, the education is like, it's kind of like your car. Preventative maintenance is always cheaper than fixing the issue after it happens.
Yeah.
So we do things like we have a giant poster in the clinic of the snake, so we can help try and diagnose, you know, like, okay, well, what actually bit you, you know, describe the snake. And which usually works out pretty well unless there's a gecko behind it.
Yeah.
We had a gecko run back, and we were like, what the heck? But yeah, so but yeah, just because when, you know, you're in a sense, you're already kind of behind the curve getting to the clinic, because there's no stop signs there. There's no stoplights. Your main communication is horn. And, you know,
Did you say whoring?
Horn, just
okay.
honking. You know, you honk and you flash your lights. And
Whoring would have been a very weird way of communicating.
Wrong.
Yeah, well, wrong. But yeah, I mean, the best way the traffic can be described is it's an organism and it just works. And I think Ben told me that, or Jordan told me that. Somebody told me that, but
it's terrifying at first. I mean, when you come in to the country and start driving and you see the number of pedestrians and the number of scooters just on the street and people running across the street, and the cars and the trucks are not going to stop. But everybody kind of knows that. The pedestrians know, okay, I got to get across the road because they're not going to stop. And
it sounds like New York, doesn't it, Katie?
A little bit.
You would expect to be seeing accidents all the time, but we really didn't. I mean,
I watched those videos and you showed like India and those intersections.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They're just used to it, I guess.
We can't figure our shit out here before we stop.
No,
it's like the worst game of Frogger ever.
Yeah.
Like,
the reason I was asking about their reverence for snakes, I know that there are some cultures that revere snakes and understand it, but my thing was going to what Max was headed towards was the education part of it. What is there more outreach besides just running the clinic that's letting people know this is what you need to do if you do see this? Because we know a lot of bites are accidental, but there are still I don't care where you're at, there's going to be idiots that try to catch snakes. It's just part of it. It doesn't matter what country you're in. Is there more education going on in a broader area than what you guys are at right now?
We go ahead, Ben.
No, Max, be quiet.
I was going to say, I think by us being there, one of the first things we try to do is engage with the community and let people know, hey, we're here. We're here to treat bites, but also if you see a snake, let us know and we'll come get it out of your property. And then that always involves some education too. We tell the people, hey, this is what this snake is, and this one's not dangerous, or this one is dangerous. And I would say most people were genuinely interested in the snakes. I didn't see a lot of what I would call undue fear from the people, and it was actually kind of cool to see most of the kids knew what a ball python was, and they would cool. It's like the kids that came in, they brought us a ball python just balled up in their hand and said, hey, look what we found. And so I do think
cute.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
love
it was
that.
That was like right after we extracted venom from the black mamba. The kids walked up with this python, and it was like, what a great day,
Yeah,
but,
that's cool.
But as far as reverence or mystique, the black mamba definitely is at the top of that list. I mean, people.
I think that is worldwide, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting, talking to the local herpetologists about, going out and looking for snakes. We really wanted to find a black mamba. We know they're there. The clinic sees bites that fit that picture every year, and people might give a description of something that seems is consistent with the black mamba, but nobody's ever caught a live black mamba in the country of Guinea that we know of until our team, right before Max and I got there. One of the Ghanaian herpetologists found a live black mamba and captured it. He didn't even, he had never seen a live one, so he didn't know what it was, and he captured it, brought it back to the clinic, and that snake had a different level of mystique, even among the the senior herpetologist. They treated it differently, and before they captured this one, they said, yeah, we don't want you looking for black mambas. They're too fast, too dangerous. It's bad, bad juju to go messing with black mambas.
Gotcha.
We've had we have dead ones that are preserved there. So when dead ones are found, so some DORs, different things like that. But yeah, and I'll go ahead and plug the ASF page if anyone listening isn't on the social media there, because Nabi, the guy who caught it, his story of catching it is remarkable. It's one that when I put it out, there's a lot I'm very excited to tell people and show people, but
Max
with the algorithm, with the algorithm, you got to give everything its time.
We know.
But yeah,
Max is excited about his interview. We are too, Max.
Yeah, I mean, Nabi's he's a beast.
Those guys are amazing. I mean, being there watching these guys climb 40 or 50 feet up a tree in the middle of the night with a flashlight and a snake
catch a snake that can kill you.
To catch a mamba.
Crazy. I do not understand that.
Unbelievable.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Ben, prior to all this, were you a doctor who got into this, or are you a reptile person who also was a doctor?
So I caught my first snake when I was 3 years old, and I have never. The interest has only grown over the years. So I grew up herping, and when I was in college, I was really torn between becoming a herpetologist or going into medicine. And ultimately, I decided I can go into medicine, and I'm never going to leave this hobby. This is something I can do forever, and I can merge these interests. And
that's awesome.
It's worked out great. I mean, there's times where. And with this trip, it's I kind of get to play herpetologist, right, and help out the real herpetologists, and at the same time do the medicine, and so it's really rewarding.
And you get stuck with jackasses like Max following you around all the time.
Yeah. Thanks, Lewis. Somebody's advocating for me.
I miss you, buddy.
Yeah. So it was my son's first birthday. Couldn't make the Conroe show, but. I think that worked out really well because y'all could fundraise for Malia.
We did, and I want to get back to where we're doing, the ASF stuff at some of the shows. I really like to get a presence in at some of the, all of our shows in Louisiana are venomous shows,
right?
Every single one of them. So I'd really like to try to get a presence at like maybe Slidell or something like that to try it out.
Right, and I know Brent's out that way, but you know what, Brent's
in like he was in Lake Charles. I mean, he came.
Well, he might have that thing going for him. Which,
yes, I know about that. He passed.
So.
Everything's
good.
Yes,
he did pass it. He aced it. He's gonna nail the interview.
And
no one else
knows what we're talking about. So
no, so I'm very happy about that.
But Ben, I'll tell you here in a minute.
But he won't be in. He doesn't. That's not going to be his area where we're at in Slidell. I'm talking about doing some fundraising like we did at Conroe. So that's something where we need a presence in that area.
Just need somebody better than Max to come man on a table, though.
Yes, Max doesn't stay behind the table.
I was going to say, it's not that Max can't run the table. Max physically does not stay in one spot.
He can't do it.
Or he sleeps.
Max is needed for six different things.
But are you?
No.
It's really bad when it's Max.
You want to trade me, Max?
And neither one of y'all can stay at a
Or he gives my 12-year-old his camera and says, "Post a picture."
Remember?
Awesome,
okay, and I have to. Okay, here's the thing: is I have to film certain things because they deserve being filmed. Like Sean's kids not knowing who NSYNC is.
That was greatness.
That's it has to be filmed, or pulling Bo's tooth out with an electric scooter.
NSYNC.
Yeah, that was and you falling on the electric scooter. So, but that was before the show. But during the show, you're never behind your table. Never. Ever.
Well, I also was collecting things because Brent was
But neither is Brent.
Brent's never
Brent's never there either. He's walking around socializing.
Yeah, that's what Brent does. Drinking a beer, walking around. Yeah, it's just Brent.
So
we got to have dinner with Brent the Thursday before Lake Charles. He lives there, so he got to come hang out with us for a bit. So he's supposed to come hang out here. He's supposed to come stay at the house and stuff for a few days, but he's busy building stuff, tearing stuff up, building fences. But yeah, I would like to get some kind of presence of ASF at some of the shows in Louisiana for real. Do some fundraising because we did really well at Conroe. We could do better if we had a permanent presence there and get something going because we always try to help you guys out. So
And I don't know what sort of presence we have or like people y'all know up towards Denver, but we have the Denver Venom Conference coming up. So
which is so strange to me.
Yeah, which because of the location, but
yes,
medically, it's a nice spot.
I was gonna ask, is there like a large venomous presence in Denver?
No. You can't even own a hog nose in Colorado.
But it's kind of weird because treating snakebite, you run into more medical people at these conferences. Yeah. But as a as an avid herper, I do think that more herpers should go to these. Oops, here goes my headphones. But more herpers should go to these things because when Kate Jackson and Jim Harrison and Kristen Wiley show up, you hear about things in captive collections that are super important.
Exactly.
And
I sponsored the Houston Venom Conference, but he could only get the date we had a show on, so I couldn't go.
I remember that.
Spencer owes me some shirts, by the way, I think. But we tried to help sponsor that too, and I had the hotel room booked, and I think I gave it to Jennifer actually.
Yeah,
Jennifer and a couple other people went and worked it for me because we had a show that weekend. But Denver, I mean.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's also the weekend of the Great American Beer Festival, which is going to be pretty cool, just because it's like there's going to be a lot of people there anyway.
Drunk people and venom.
If auctions are any indication, drunk people and auctions don't.
That's true. That's true.
So it's that might work out.
A lot of drunk high people.
Dude, I thought I was gonna get a contact high just walking the streets in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Whew.
Ben's
there was one day our girls were like, "What is that smell?" And all of us moms were like, "Just keep walking."
All these skunks in New York.
Pet skunks.
The reason it's in Denver is one of ASF's founders is an ER doc and a toxicologist there in Denver, and
gotcha.
They've got I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Rocky Mountain Poison Center, but it's one of the biggest poison centers in the U.S. and they've always been really good at envenomation medicine. Like Rick Dart is there, and some of the other toxicologists who've done a lot in envenomation over the years. So, and I think there's pretty good herping actually in September in Colorado, from what I hear.
Oh yeah, so. I've been out looking for stuff all over Colorado, Red Rocks area. So, I love going out that way.
So, go ahead.
I was going to say on the topic of conferences too. Venom Week is an awesome conference. If you guys have never been to that, it's every 2 years, and next year it's here in North Carolina. So yeah,
what are the dates? Yeah, what are the dates for next year for the North Carolina?
It'll be June of next year.
Hey, that's for the summer.
I was going to say we have relatives in North Carolina.
It would be great if
in North Carolina.
More people from the herp community went to some of the Venom conferences. Yeah, it's a lot more than just boring medical stuff. You
don't have the exact dates on that.
I don't have it right now, but if you search for Venom Week,
that's what James is doing.
2020.
What's the location in North Carolina?
It'll be Raleigh, Durham area.
Even better. That's where the family is.
Yeah.
That's true.
We are, we are June 1st and 2nd, Lake Charles, June 8th and 9th, Conroe, and June 22nd.
This is the summer of 2024, didn't tell me.
Longview and Rosenberg, June 29th. Oh, we just changed that one. So
you guys scheduled
we have three shows in June.
Yeah, there's not specific dates on the website yet.
Just says summer.
To be announced, yeah.
Do it the third weekend of June.
Well, it's a whole week. So
yeah, I know, but I have Conroe June 8th.
I know, but you don't have to be there the whole week. You could show up on like Tuesday and then stay through the weekend.
No.
I mean,
or not.
I'm gonna go the whole time.
But I know I got Chicago at the end of July this year. I'll be speaking at IHS.
They're actually letting you talk?
Yeah.
Did they put time
people
on
met you?
Yeah.
What are you going to talk about? The gecko symposium? You don't even know what a gecko is.
What is it? That's James Bergoli's there. No.
Sells insurance.
Insurance. Oh yeah. But no, I'll be talking about like Snowmageddon, backup power, different things like that.
It's cool.
How
You're trying to sell. He's trying to sell
I am
solar.
not.
Just
I'm
trust
not-
us.
Look at that.
Okay, hold
You
on.
see
I
that
am
in
not
there?
gonna mention my own
Look at that.
company.
You see
If anybody
how-
wants to buy solar,
you
reach
see why we
out to
bust his
me.
balls, Ben?
So,
We need to get some solar up in Guinea. I mean, that would actually be.
yeah,
That'd be
no,
really
we had power outages, and it's like in the middle of Ben and Jordan doing it was a spitting cobra into somebody's eyes.
Ugh.
Power goes out, and it's just like, oh,
Then,
well.
then
you know,
Max, how about
headlights
you
on.
fix that situation?
Well, I asked, and
Flashlight.
yeah. Well,
pee
okay,
in it.
hold on. Ben was
don't even wanna
just
think
fine because he had the Phoenix lights, and that is like turning on the sun when you turn on the flashlight. And then his headlamp was, just as amazing.
Are they
my-
like Dawn Shore's setup bright?
Oh no, these are
Those are-
these are like the one I had in my. I don't know if you ever saw the cave part whenever we had the walk-in cooler, the pet store. We just had the light in there.
Uh-huh.
That light is the size of a basketball. That's an LED light that was like 180 watt LED light that was in that room. It literally like left a shadow on the wall when you turned the light on. Like
Yeah.
it was like a mini
Take
Hiroshima
X-rays.
going off there.
Yeah.
It really was insane. But I think he's talking about the big flashlights that have I don't know what lumens are, but they're big LED clusters. They're probably like
Yeah.
Speaking of
10,000
LED,
lumen.
this is a great tie-in. If anybody's looking for high-quality LED
look at this
UVB bulbs,
commercial.
check out VivTech for their
We
LED bulbs.
know.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's
No.
not so funny now.
You can use
I
code
gotta
Gumbo22, save 15% on
I need to
your
order
from
some more.
VivTech.
He doesn't like that he was in second place for the
I gotta be better than everybody else.
so last year when they factored in the numbers, there was only one other person.
No, we were best.
Were we the
we were
top
best.
one? Oh, just kidding. Man. Never mind.
So
Oh,
again, if you're
for
listening to
your-
this, please
Your
go order.
discount code.
Yeah,
you're-
it's,
you're
we
just
had the
smart.
most people use our code.
Huh.
Yeah, go
I
buy
guess
some
I'm-
smart
guess I'm
devices.
guess I'm gonna have to make one for Herp Shop then.
No, you shut your
Just-
mouth.
Just
Shut your mouth. Go
Give
buy
Ryan a
smart
call.
devices and LED UVB bulbs from VivTech.
give
Don't
Ryan a
call
call.
Ryan,
Gumbo
call
22.
Erica. Let's be
Gumbo
real.
22.
I'll call Erica. Yeah, that's right. Call Erica.
No, reach out to Ryan. He'll
Hey,
he'll
let's
be
set
able
up
to
a Herp Shop discount.
help. All right, I can message Erica and tell him that can't happen.
Uh,
So yeah, that just tied in with the LED. Good. Oh, also I forgot to say this earlier. Our monthly giveaway. Anybody that I'll mention again at the end of this. But
what are you doing for the monthly giveaway?
we're giving away these
We're giving
board
away
games.
cool board games.
We got all these reptile related. There's hungry
if you win
turtles
them,
instead of
and
hungry
you-
hippos.
And if you
Oh,
win
cool.
them and you don't want to keep them, just regift them. It'll be okay.
Who doesn't want to keep hungry turtles?
I
There's
want the hungry.
There's a
Turtles game.
3D snakes
I
and
like
ladders.
turtles.
They all came from Five Below.
There's a Jurassic Park headbands game, and Dino
There was-
Doctor,
I
which
was
is like
gonna say, there was
Operation.
something else.
It's like
Cool.
Operation, but dinosaur.
That's pretty
Uh,
good.
So speaking of Jurassic Park, we were walking through after radio tracking the Green Mamba herping, and I was messing with who was I talking to? With Kara, and I go, yeah, there's this buddy of mine. He's like a cross between a herpetologist and ornithologist, Dr. Hammond, and he said if you play sounds, then the reptiles will show up. And I started playing a Velociraptor.
Oh my gosh.
You realize
She fell for it so hard because she was like, I know that name. And I was, yeah, I was like, John Hammond. Yeah.
Oh god.
I
Sean.
mean, some of those places you almost expect to see a velociraptor.
Oh, I was
right?
like that
Oh, yeah.
in Hawaii. I was like that. I mean, there were
100%.
where we were out on the Big Island in Hawaii on the Hilo side. I've never seen ferns and palm leaves that massive, like these ancient clusters of just massive plants. And I was like, you really think a T-Rex is going to walk out of that? Like, it's crazy.
I saw the dinosaur bones at the American Museum of Natural
John,
History.
were coconuts falling when you were there?
Huh?
Were coconuts falling when you were there?
Coconuts falling when I was in Hawaii?
Yeah.
No.
So people dying from coconuts makes so much sense because when we were there, the mangoes were falling.
Oh yeah.
And it was like every 20, 30 seconds, you just hear a mango hit the ground, hit
Oh my
a metal
gosh.
roof, like just constant fruit
Yeah.
falling.
That's so crazy.
And it's like, why you don't buy mangoes when you're there? You just,
No, there were mangoes like falling from the tree. There was a big mango tree in the downtown area by the market that
Yeah.
They actually had a sign, "Please do not take the mangoes," and everybody would walk by and take the mangoes. Like it was just that thing
I
was.
hate
It was
when people
huge.
don't listen to signs or mess with signs. It's
They don't listen. They don't listen to
Gosh.
signs. I hate when people don't listen to signs.
I know.
or it's just,
Story of my life.
Yeah.
Or Secret Service.
And it's like never ever.
People that don't
ever-
follow directions.
hey, that happened, and I was invited so hard to Waco because there was another rally, and they were like, "Hey, Max, you coming?" And I was like, "Thanks for the invite."
When's the next show you're coming to?
I need to look at the schedule. So one of the next Texas ones, I know.
You're
that.
not going to want him there, Sean. You realize how unbearable he's going to be
Max
now that he's
owes
been
me.
to Africa?
Max owes me a commercial.
Is the shop finally done? To
Yeah.
where it's filmable.
Yeah, if you would have come, you would have seen that.
Filmable.
Okay, well, it's like first of all, they turned all their aisles sideways, and then they were like, okay,
Nope.
now we're expanding, and it's going to double in size, and it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
We
Why
had another
bother doing it
1,400 square
now?
foot. It's all done, ready to go. Caves open, everything.
heck yeah.
Yeah, Max.
Yeah, Max.
All right. So
So-
now, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was actually going to ask Ben a personal question, and you do not have to answer this if you are not comfortable doing that. So, are you married? Do you have children?
I am married and 3 boys.
So, how do they feel about you traveling to places like this where you could potentially die?
It was
Life insurance.
it was definitely a little.
Yeah.
I-
He dodged a bat. Like a bat
Yeah.
flew right by him. And he's
Oh,
like,
that's right. Yeah. It's. I've done so many trips in the past to places to look for venomous snakes, and this is different. This was definitely different because of the the level of snakes we were dealing with, and just the other risks. Again, malaria, traffic accidents,
Max.
Ebola, all that kind of stuff.
the Russians.
But I think they know I don't take crazy risks or anything like that. And
What's the point of going then?
well, yeah, exactly.
That was a joke. No.
but being and they know I prepare really well for it. So
Right.
there was definitely a little bit of anxiety there, but but the other thing is, we had great cell service the whole time we were there. We could call back home anytime we wanted. I mean, that's one of the funny things to me is you go to some of these other countries. Like I've been to Borneo before. I've been to, Indonesia, and you can be on the side of a mountain and your cell phone works, and
Better than in Pearland, Texas.
better than in
Oh,
the
yeah.
US in many places. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I had better cell service than I do at Sean's house.
Yeah, well, nobody has cell service in my house. Live in the country.
and I knew the other thing is I was going with good people. So
Right.
that makes all
a
the
difference. That
I
Well,
mean,
and,
Well, minus Max.
and I bet. And how long have y'all been married? So,
Oh,
we're just all up in your business.
well, no, I'm just saying. There's a level of trust
Of
trust.
Get rid of him.
him
She's like, thank
and-
God he's gone.
and
Yeah, right.
and understand that he knows
up
what
the
he's
life
doing.
insurance a little bit,
Yeah,
before I go.
exactly. That you know what you're doing. and
Love
you're
you, but if you
excited
don't
about
come
it.
back, it's okay.
I-
So after
the same
18
thing.
years, I'm like, oh, you're working a 9 to 5. Bye, have fun.
Yeah, Lord, if I said, hey, I'm going to Australia to go chase, whatever, she'd be like, just don't die. Just go
Right.
have fun, but just don't die. And I'm
Right.
like, I'll try not to, but
Well,
she's gonna let
Ben
me go because she knows
found
that
a
it would make me
4-foot
happy.
pup. Yeah. Well, Ben found a 4-foot puff adder, and if you see his picture of it in situ, it's like there's definitely some pucker factor knowing like
Mhm.
how many you've passed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I was
well,
going to
that's
walk right by it. Yeah.
yeah, that's a big part of it too. Well, it's adrenaline rush too, and I'm sure when you see a guy climbing 40 feet up in a tree barefoot with a flashlight. Now, what happens when he gets a hold of the mamba up in the tree? What does he let go?
You'll
of?
have to wait and see the
Drop
video.
the shit down, like
In a bag, go in a bag, and
Drop on
down.
Max.
Yeah. These guys are, they're
Because
pros.
they're not slow in trees either.
No, yeah.
They're super fast in trees. So.
So how long were y'all there?
2 weeks.
Yeah, it's about 2 weeks if you include travel time, which was, I think, enough time for us to get a lot accomplished. Of course, I think we wish we would have had more time, which makes us want to go back.
Always.
So is there always a
Yeah.
crew rotating in and out there?
Usually this time of year, we'll rotate crews in and out because this is the start of the rainy season when the bites
Mhm.
really tend to pick up. And so the first group went out, and then we followed them. And then the third group is getting ready to go very shortly, like within
Gotcha.
a week and a half. And then, we're already talking about doing some things in the fall, trying to get another trip together. But again, the cool thing is that, there's always the local docs and nurses there who can communicate with us. And there's not a gap in the ability to treat these bites when we're
Gotcha.
gone.
That's where I was going with that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the overall goal is to get the clinic completely self-sufficient to where, our involvement can lessen over time, and then we can work on doing this elsewhere.
Yeah,
and
that'd be good.
And we're getting there.
Lori!
Definitely.
Lori, I'm going to Africa. She said, "Cool."
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, sure.
What?
Just
I'm going to
being
Africa.
able to, being able to walk out of our clinic and find a big chameleon on a tree. I mean, that was cool, right? I mean,
Yeah, that'd be cool to me too.
What are you doing?
Yeah, so I mean, we had
James is bored. He can't
Can
talk.
y'all see him moving on?
I saw. Yeah,
Yes,
I see him moving
Oh my
around.
I
God.
didn't know. I didn't know
He
you
can't
do
talk,
that.
so
He's also changed how it's laid out on our screen here. We have a huge television screen that it's on, and he's like, you guys are taking up the whole screen now, and
this is kind of
He
Brady Bunch
doesn't-
like.
Oh, that's like the Brady Bunch's bus.
yeah.
getting dizzy.
But yeah, Ben mentioned the chameleons, and we had what we called a chameleon tree just outside the clinic, and there were so many baby chameleons on
Was
it.
it a citrus tree by chance? Some sort of fruit tree?
A beginning of a palm tree.
A palm tree. That's
Yeah. I
interesting.
mean, it was real sharp. So I think the chameleon laid its eggs, kind of in the the trunk of it, and walking by, it's like you see 3 chameleons here, you see 2. So I was counting chameleons, making bed, hold up my flash again, and
That's pretty interesting that they'd lay the eggs in the top, because most.
Well, it's not so much in the
species-
top; it's like in the trunk. It's like how it branches out along the
nooks and crannies
along the side. It's just like
Gotcha.
down in
Yeah,
there,
So they wouldn't go all the way to the ground to bury them, probably because the ants. They would try to keep them up in the trees. That's pretty
I
interesting.
mean,
and what
I didn't
species of
see the
chameleons
eggs.
were they?
It was graceful chameleons.
Well, it could
those
be.
are really
It could be
cool.
like I watched one of Dave Kaufman's videos when they went to Madagascar, and they found the eggs were laid at the bottom of the trunk and the sand,
Yeah.
and the babies climbed up into.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
normal chameleons do. They go to the bottom, lay their eggs in the dirt right underneath the base of the tree, and then the babies go up. But
Yeah.
a lot of the chameleons that you see will be in, especially babies, will be in like fruit bearing trees or flowering trees, because bugs are attracted to the fruit and rotting fruit and stuff like that. Which is
there's
their
no
food
shortage
source.
of bugs.
Yeah, I know, but just that's what I was saying. Palm
But
trees,
yeah,
pretty cool.
but yeah, I mean, there were so many. It's like in the middle of us photoing them and counting them. It's like I had one jump on my backpack, and like I found it in the clinic, or Ben found it in the clinic the next day. He goes, "Is that a chameleon on your back?" And I'm like, "What the heck?"
He's
He's
one for a ride.
stressing out my baby.
Yeah. Oh, look, her.
That is going to be so loud on yours. He's going to get to the other side of the table, and then what?
Got to find him a girlfriend.
Cool.
No, we do not need to find him a
pretty.
girlfriend.
Yes, you do. You're wasting his beautiful talents.
No, I'm not.
I'm
being
good.
fancy.
with
I don't know
one
if Ben
for
can even
nothing.
see that. Ben's like,
Oh,
"What
yeah.
do you have? Is that a squirrel?" Like from here.
He's like, where the hell am I? You opened my cage and did not feed me. I walk in the room and he just stares at me like,
Yeah, they're cool. He's waiting
You
for
know,
you to
where's
get him a
my
girlfriend.
food, woman?
Get
Oh,
him a
that's
girlfriend.
awesome.
That's all I
Yeah,
am for him.
Nah.
One
Anyway.
thing we didn't see was a live monitor lizard. I did want to see a Nile monitor, but
Yeah.
we
That'd
saw
be
some
cool.
dead ones on the road. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I expected to see more cobras than I did. But I think it was just like whether it was, luck, time of year, weather, it's one of those things that's like I already have plans on, because I had certain plans of what I wanted to photo in my head anyway.
Mhm.
And there's certain things it's like you can go back so many times and it's always going to be different. It's always
Yeah.
going to have something for you.
So what
No.
was the worst part of the whole trip? Real quick, what was the worst part of it?
Ben, I think you'll answer faster than I will.
Yeah, being around Max. That's.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
really nothing. One of one of us got malaria and got really sick, not Max or I, but you know, we were able to get him better.
Okay, so don't laugh at me. Can you die from malaria? Like, what exactly does that do to you?
So adults usually don't die if you get medication and, you know, get IV fluids and things like that. But a lot of kids die in developing countries from malaria. It the parasite gets in your bloodstream and lives in the red blood cells and then just bursts out of all the red blood cells. And so you end up getting really anemic because your blood cells get destroyed. And for little kids, that's pretty dangerous. A lot of the people that live there, malaria becomes kind of a chronic thing in some ways. I mean, they'll get it, you know, year after year and develop some immunity to it.
Is that a vaccine that you get before you go to places like that?
So
yeah,
malaria,
you get pills.
Yeah, if you take the right medication while you're there, it greatly cuts the risk. And there's different types of medications. Some are more effective than others, but usually if you're taking your malaria medication every day, you're not going to get it. I think they're working on vaccines, but not widely available yet.
Do you get this? Is this the one you get from mosquitoes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, if you have sickle cell, that you're good. Because
I think, you know, I mean, travel might have been the worst part, right? I mean, and even then it wasn't terrible. It was, but you know, getting into the capital city, driving through the capital city, driving there is I mean, it's a process. It's a, you know, you can't say reliably, well, it's going to take 2 hours to get from here to there. I mean, it might be 2 hours, it might be 6 hours, and it just
conditions and weather and stuff.
Yeah,
like
I mean, if a semi turns over, then
I mean, when it's roadblock, it's not like inching, it's standstill.
Yeah.
What the hell?
But
chameleons messing up my computer screen.
Well, that's what you get for getting the chameleon out.
I mean, I would say on my end, like the worst part is because I don't have a medical background, so it's like I'm not used to kind of like not the greatest turnouts. But you know, we had a boy come in and he was bitten in his sleep by a spitting cobra. Oh. But he waited a week to go for treatment.
What?
And yeah, he went to a natural healer, and I mean they lived, and it's just so the turnout for him walking was not like it was just not a good turnout. We of course we did what we could, and it's like we helped. And Ben can talk more on the medical end of things.
Stresses
but it's like,
me out.
Yeah, but it's you know, it's like that's why that's the kind of thing that also fans of flame under your gut, because you're like, I want to do the best amount of work I can to help prevent these things.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
especially
I mean, for me, unquestionably, you know, medically, that was the worst thing to see was, I mean, this kid and his family lived hours away. And so he got bitten by a spitter on the ankle, and they initially came in a week later. And this was before we got there. And the docs said, you know, this is very late and a lot of damage has been done, but we'll try to give antivenom. Maybe there's a little bit of benefit, but after a week, there's not a lot of benefit. And
it's already.
We saw the kid 3 weeks after that, and you know, there's a very high likelihood he's going to end up losing his leg. It was open to the bone, infected, ruptured tendons, and there's, you know, that wouldn't happen here. I mean, number one, somebody would get treated. Number two, they'd stay in the hospital. They'd get surgery. They'd get, you know, but those aren't options. And so it becomes, you know, trying to minimize damage and trying to do what you can. But, you know, the docs there are going to continue to treat him and give him antibiotics and do wound care. But there's a high likelihood that he's going to require an amputation and at best his leg won't be functional, you know, if he keeps it.
So
that's why we're doing this.
To speak in layman's terms, like it takes a lot of muscle and tendon to even raise your foot like that, and he just didn't have that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you
What's your
talk
favorite
about
what's your favorite dinosaur? I'm being serious. What's your favorite dinosaur?
Tuatara.
Dude,
That's my favorite reptile.
Nice.
Or not even reptile.
Oh, hold
Came
on,
out today.
Sean.
Tuataras are my
Ben
favorite.
also
Absolute
really
favorite.
likes looking for rocks and arrowheads. Y'all
Oh,
need
really?
to link
Cool.
up.
Yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
so if we're doing subject
got a
changes,
I pulled almost a whole case out of the ground last week.
Wow.
And then Jeff Foxworthy
Unbelievable.
was
And
there.
yeah, Jeff came the next day. So we were on the phone with Jeff Foxworthy the day we were there because he was at another dig and wasn't finding anything. And we were I found a paleo paddle drill
Wait,
that's
What?
unbelievable. Yeah, Jeff
I hear
Foxworthy, the comedian.
Texas has amazing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so an hour from
Jeff
my
Foxworthy?
place is a
Like
friend
the
of ours that has a
comedian?
place. Yeah, yeah, he was out the
So-
day after we went out, but
Fun fact:
we
his-
left a few things for him to find.
his daughters were my campers when I was in college.
Oh, really?
The summer
Yeah,
camp that I worked at.
he comes out.
He's
to
a
Texas.
super nice guy.
Yeah, he comes out to Texas and digs for artifacts.
That's so
few
cool.
times a year.
all right.
Cool.
So since we're doing subject changes, I'm going to get into one of the questions we pushed this week.
James, get him.
He's fine.
I don't want him to fall.
He's got nails and toes and
I'm
tail.
so afraid he's gonna fall.
Anyways, the question I had posed, they got a lot of replies this week because of things going on in the last couple of weeks, was what is your take on all the drama in the hobby lately between things like morph market, breeders being called out for their poor keeping, or anything else you've seen people getting upset about? I want to go through a couple of these and then I want to talk with y'all about it. But Derek Dykstra said it's business as usual. Let's see. Ryan Cox said, I think it's the hobby finally policing itself, and some people don't like it. In some cases, that is true. Let's see. Shelby Lawrence said, I think some of it's a long time coming. Unethical breeders should 100% be called out. Now some of the drama is just that, and it gets us nowhere. So, and then Travis Wyman said, ask me why I have been moving more and more into obscure species and that no one cares about, so no one bothers talking to me. That's not why people aren't talking to you, Travis.
Great point.
It's not the animals. There's been so I posted, I think it was Jared. Jared asked the other day on his Facebook, he apparently missed all the drama going on. He said, what's all the drama and all that? And I basically said, there is no drama if you just take care of your animals, breed what you want, do your stuff.
Mhm.
Because in reality, the drama in the hobby is like a small handful of people, but Facebook magnifies that. And then people just want to jump in it because it's the whole Jerry Springer thing.
It's a mob mentality.
Yeah.
It usually becomes a mob mentality. And I really don't want to dwell on this any longer than you want to, James, but in my opinion, it's something that it happens behind the scenes constantly. We see it. We've been in this long enough. I've been in it long enough to see it come and go. Anytime there's a big change to a platform like Morph Market or something like that, any other platform, there's always going to be people who disagree and don't want to follow, but it's completely up to them. You have to keep your head focused on what's most important, and that's the care of the animals, right? So there's two sides of this whole thing. Is, do we oust this known animal abuser and just rip him to shreds, and which we've always known that he's been an animal abuser and he's never been allowed at our shows, not a single one.
The problem is,
but we bring the light.
Which animal abuser? Because there's been several animal abusers that have been brought up lately.
Well, we know the main one that we're talking about, though, and then to that point, though, we're shedding light on some of the bad parts of our community, which enables the animal rights activists to gain more ammunition against us. So it's a catch-22 regardless. We need to police ourselves, but we don't need to be so public about it. I think those people just need to be silently just blacklisted and say, you know what, if this show doesn't want to ban them, that's up to you guys to ban that show or not. If this promoter doesn't want to do this, he's a horrible person. If this promoter wants to do this, he's a hero. It doesn't need to be like that. We keep ourselves out of the spotlight of the animal rights activists. Yes, that stuff needs to be known, but it's known. You know what I'm saying? Now we're beating a dead horse with it. We are not. I'm wearing my US Art shirt for a reason. We are not unified in this reptile community at all. We have different opinions, but we have different opinions on what we breed, what we feed our animals, what kind of lighting we use. We don't agree on anything in our community, period, down to the most minuscule thing. But if you're harming animals and you're intentionally hurting animals, or you're hurting customers and you're hurting people and you're scamming people, yes, you need to be called out, but you don't need to be called out so publicly. I think get blackballed, disappear. The people who actually matter in this community know that that's there, and they're going to take those steps to make sure that that person doesn't do well. There's always going to be workarounds. This guy that we're talking about is going to he's got so many other followers. He'll just sell them snakes, and they'll pop up at a show in a different company name, and you'll never, ever know. It's happened before.
With the several things that have happened, the morph market thing, I don't mind the changes that have been made to morph market as far as certain people being taken off of there, because I think the general public who may find morph market and use it don't tend to know who they should and should not get stuff from.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this before. I just wish Darian would just be quiet.
No,
That's
Darian's not quiet. Hold on, hold on. That's your opinion. Darian's not quiet. Darian's not quiet because here's the thing. Darian has been this way since I've known him.
Oh, I realize it. I just
before he was ever morph market, but he actually has really good intentions.
I get that.
But it's not your business. It's not my business. It's his business.
No, I get it.
If he wants to make political opinions, it's up to him. You're not going to make everybody happy. Look what we do. We're not going to make everybody happy. You're going to have people who love you and people who hate you. It doesn't matter what your intentions are.
And I get that. I just wish to shut up sometimes.
To chime in,
People think that about you all the time.
I tell
you're
you,
allowed to think it.
To chime in, I think they're like, especially so many people live in such a bubble, and I can only just encourage so much. It's like, get out of your own bubble,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, I have post-Africa syndrome, but it's like everyone has their own set of problems. Yeah, they're valid, but it's when you get them put in perspective, there is so much good you could be doing. The energy
that we're wasting on fighting people's opinions could be used to strengthen our community is the way I feel. There's so many people that have to voice I get it, voice your opinion, free speech, don't care. But the people who want to denigrate you and just beat down on people who just don't have the same opinion, I have no time for them. I have my own opinions about stuff. I pretty much keep my business and personal stuff separate. Darian has a voice. He's using that voice in this platform to tell people how he feels. That's his right. You don't have to follow him or not. He advertises more than anybody on the face of the planet. He's going to advertise more for Morph Market and do more for Morph Market. He's going to keep growing it, and there's going to be people that come and go. There's going to be people that come and go in any industry. We have it with vendors. There's vendors who don't agree with the way we do things. There's vendors who love us absolutely for everything we do, and they help us, right? You're not going to make everybody happy. Because he has a voice, people are mad at him? No. So what? I have an opinion too. If I choose not to voice it publicly, that's my right. But he also has the right to voice his publicly.
He has the right. I have the right to say it annoys the shit out of me. Not all the stuff. Like I said, the changes he's made, I'm okay with.
James, here's the thing. Scroll past it.
I do. But again, he's in a position where he took over a business.
Yes.
And there's a certain way you should carry yourself when you run a business.
That you think
there's a certain way that you think he should carry himself.
So in the early 90s, there was a book written by WWE called Controversy Creates Cash. There's a couple different as much attention as it's gotten, in a way that's free advertising. His numbers are up. Whether you agree or disagree, it's like
but he's very unapologetic. He's not. And here's the thing is, there's so many people that never knew who Darian was, and I've known him forever. Like, I've known him for a long time, right? And he's never held back anything. If he has an opinion, he's going to voice it. He has no filter. He's going to tell people how it is, and this is how I feel. Now he's on a much more public platform because of Morph Market, what Morph Market is. But if you've ever followed back when he was just running this first Dubia.com page, it was the same way. Exactly the same. He hasn't changed. The overall perception of him has changed, and more people know who he is. Yes, that has changed. But Darian is just being Darian, man. And you love him or hate him. I mean, he does have really good intentions, and Could he have gone too quickly and made some rash decisions? Yeah, but he's trying to make a change that we need that's positive.
Well,
so
look, I agree that
you
the
don't
one
have
breeder that came out and his group of people basically put threats against Darian, that was messed up.
Yeah. And you know what's
and
funny?
that person handled himself poorly as far as a business. Like that is not how you handle yourself as a business.
Here's the thing though. That person and Darian have spoken on the phone, and he is no longer banned from Morph Market, and they have kissed and made up basically. They're done with their stuff. It's the people who follow along those other people, like those Samson followers and the other guys' followers. Those are the people that they're having trouble with.
So Samson
when you actually go after a business that you're advertising on to get it shut down, you're not hurting the owner, you're hurting every other user on that platform that's trying to make a living. That is absolutely the root of this whole thing.
Well, especially when the person trying to do that was not handling themselves in a professional way either.
But that's a whole other story. That's like the perception thing again. But the thing is that that's the root of our problem. We would rather destroy one person because he made a horrible comment and risk everybody else that doesn't matter. Like all those people that are sellers on that platform who put money and time and into those and selling their animals that feed their families, right? You're going to get their entire site shut down because you had a disagreement with the person who owns the site. That's the point is.
That's so petty.
Isn't it? It
was.
So
petty.
that's the root of this. We are not together as a community to understand that me going after that one person, it just the Facebook page, the Instagram page, all that stuff to get it all shut down because you're mad at them because you had a disagreement and you didn't agree with their decision. You're hurting every single other user on that platform.
And
we're
the
talking
people
thousands.
The people sending death threats and stuff to them.
Yeah, that's just people.
Keyboard
warriors exist.
Overselling snakes online.
I've had a vendor we banned threaten to kill my daughters and my wife. No kidding.
When I did the roundup video, I got death threats as well.
Max did when he was doing the roundup.
So what gets me about people overreacting in the hobby is reptile breeding. I get that it's a job for a lot of people, but it's not. I'm going to lose it. It's not a real thing. Like James, we made it a thing.
James, it is.
But it's
$14 billion industry in the United States. No, you don't. You're a hobbyist, James. No, but you don't want to be a breeder.
No, but you're talking about the 14 billion is a very small part of the
It doesn't
whole
matter.
thing.
There are people that survive by breeding and selling snakes. That's how they feed their family.
I'm not saying they don't. I told you. I get that. What I'm saying is that a lot of people that freak out about this stuff are freaking out about something that is not a real thing to freak out about. There's no viable drama. Now, look, the thing with Samson, that's a huge thing. That's an animal rights thing.
It's horrible. Yeah,
and that's been an animal rights thing since he got busted for dog fighting. And certain other shows who have not made a firm step yet need to keep him from being at shows just for the fact that the general public who buys the majority of animals don't know any better. They show up and see a guy who has a table full of snakes. They think he's an expert in that thing.
Yeah.
They don't realize he's killing shit left and right.
100%. And that's what I was saying, that there's going to be a workaround for that. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be.
Oh, I know.
That guy's animals are going to show up on other people's tables and nobody's going to know.
And I'll say on the social media side of things, I'll quote Ben on this, is when I'm glad I missed most of it because I didn't have to be on my phone. The way Ben put it is, do you know how nice it was to spend a couple weeks not seeing Biden or Trump in the news cycle?
I actually didn't see any of this that went down. I didn't see a single.
Yeah, you said you were digging. Yeah,
I was digging for arrowheads. I got home and my phone exploded.
Your mental energy is it's so much better and so much more clear. And the more you try and, obviously there's a reason to advocate for certain things, but there's also a reason to not sit there on social media, compare. Have you ever changed your mind on Facebook in the comment section?
100%.
No.
I have.
I have.
I've absolutely seen someone give me a perfect rebuttal to an answer that I was dead set on.
And then I'm like,
I
never
never
ever
thought about that way.
Oh, I have 100%.
100%. Happens all the time. Well, Max, you're hard.
Max, like, I'm not changing my fucking mind.
Not
Yeah,
changing
no,
my
I'm
mind.
I think that's how
No.
James feels too.
No, I
It's hard to change
I
my
just-
mind when I'm right. I don't know what you're talking about.
the thing is that this is a very,
That's what
like
I
I
was
said, it's a
with.
very, very fine line between, okay, we out everybody that's ever, been killed an animal or something, or
Well-
like, or do we, because you know that this is going to go mainstream, a news station's going to pick this up because everybody's sharing it everywhere, and what you're going to have PETA all and HSUS all over us again. They're going to be sharing this stuff on their social media pages. We're giving them ammunition, but at the same time, Weston Winter said it perfectly. It has to be done. It's going to hurt us for a while, but we have to police ourselves and we have to get it done.
Well, that's where people like yourself and other shows, with someone like Samson, need to not have him in a show. That puts him in the public light. That needs that take that money, that revenue away from him. Then
But
also,
not all the show contributors communicate with each other.
they don't have to. Everybody knows who Samson is.
No, but what I'm saying is, but what you're saying is that they would all need to like.
We try.
I mean,
Oh,
he talked to
see, I
several,
didn't know.
but so that's why.
We try.
So like, Darian
Big
took him
son
off. Darian took
all
him off Morph Market.
Yeah.
And so Darian took him off Morph. That's a huge part of revenue that's gone from him. Take him away from shows. That leaves him fucking Craigslist. Now,
Yeah.
granted, like
Well,
Sean said, you're
no.
gonna have people sneak them
Yep.
in. The people are gonna
Yep.
sell his shit, but you got to try
People
and
who
limit it as
are-
much as possible.
Exactly. And we, at one point we found out that another vendor, right after I'd banned him, signed up for a show and planned on bringing his animals, and she got banned too, right along with him. Which
Yeah.
she's one of the ones that worked for him for a long time that supposedly is going to come out with her side of the story too, that she quit finally. But she was implicit in all of it for years and years and years. So no
I know
sympathy for me.
I know the drama gets sexy because there are a lot of bad vendors on that, but I think it's kind of like herping. You might find something when everyone's looking one way and you turn around and look the other way.
Yeah.
You might find something really nice. So it's like we also need to make sure it's like the things we share. It's like we need to show the awesome things going on in the community. So it's
So
like
I made a post about that. Actually, literally, you were probably in Africa somewhere, but I literally made a post. It's like, just share something positive. It doesn't even have to be reptile related. Just something.
right. Well, I
to
mean,
get your
helping
soul-sucking
Malia
drain.
with her.
Oh yeah,
like
well that's we love Malia.
It's amazing how you can rally together and do something
She's
incredible.
back
like
in the
that.
hospital, by the way.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she got infection.
I was going to say
Lori
she had an
talked to her.
infection that they were
Yeah,
trying to
Lori
deal
talked
with.
to her today, I believe. So, but
So, and the other big thing they hit in the last 2 weeks, trauma wise, was a different doctor, Ben, but Ben Morrill of Rare Genetics Inc. apparently caused ball python people to lose their fucking mind when he actually figured out how genetics work.
yeah,
So Desert Ghost, he realized it's possibly it's polygenetic, and it's possibly 3 different genes working all at the same time, which explains how some people have bred heads to heads and got nothing because they didn't have all 3 of those genes. Anyways, it was just funny seeing the post when that came out. And we talked about it a little before it came on.
Is that the video you were watching
yeah.
the other night? Okay.
It's so many people that don't actually understand genetics, but when you go to a reptile show, they spout off all the words that they've heard.
Not
it's mimicry. They've heard from this breeder, they heard from this breeder, they heard this is how this works. And when you break down like genetics and alleles and how things work, like that's why I like leopard geckos so much. We had like 4 or 5 recessive genes, like truly recessive genes. Everything else was either poly or dominant or incomplete dominant.
I'd love to ask all these people if they actually know what het is short for. I'm willing to bet a bunch of them don't know what means heterozygous.
Oh god, whenever we have a homo beige chinchilla in the store and I tell them it's a homo beige, they're like, what?
It's gay. What? How do you have a gay
Homozygous
chinchilla?
beige. It's a visual beige. Like it's yeah.
It only falls in love with beige color things.
Yeah, right. Somebody, I've seen so many memes about the Punnett square going around, and it's true. When we taught that in genetics, we first were doing that in biology class. We learned how to use the Punnett square.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of polygenes. James, you mentioned this earlier. We were talking. There's not a lot of polygenes in ball pythons. I don't get involved in ball python genetics simply because there's 40, 50 different morphs that are
was brown.
exactly the same. If you broke them down, genetically and did a DNA test, they're all exactly the same thing. They just have 50 different names for the same way to get there.
This one's slightly browner than the other one.
So real quick, because the world wants to know, have you talked about your eggs yet, James?
Oh, I'm not talking about ball python.
Your ball python eggs? Ours have.
Yes.
One rotted.
Yeah, that's normal.
One. So I went ahead and cut. So I did something.
I'll give you $20 if you eat it right now. Man.
No, it's in the garbage can, and it's got maggots all over it.
50.
I never thought I would cut eggs, but because they were deflated and they looked fucking, I mean, all of them looked really
We
bad.
were told by multiple people to go ahead and cut a split.
So I did cut them the other day and look in and then kind of poked. And then 3 of them, they moved. And then one was mostly formed but did not move. I later found out today it did not make it all the way. And then the other one rotted completely. I mean, I had to finally pull them all separate today because it had maggots on it. And I'm like, we got to get rid of these maggots. And so I pulled it off. But the other 3, I have cut a big enough window in it. I can see them. And
moving and breathing a lot.
They're moving.
Yeah.
So I'm very confused though.
Genetics wise, this is
Genetics
what made me
is very
think of this.
confusing. I bred it.
Well, they're ball pythons, so it's confusing.
It was a banana pied
Mm-hmm.
to an inchy. So roughly half should have been banana. Not a single one is banana. And so I am wondering if they're not, because I never saw them breed. They were together, but I never saw it. So I'm actually wondering if it's actually a parthenogenetic clutch.
Did you get this snake as an adult or a baby? The one that you bred?
I got them from adults from a friend.
Okay, so
he had a
was
tree
it
fall
ever
on his reptile room. So
was it
ball
ever
pythons.
bred in the
No.
past couple of years that you know of?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
They can retain sperm.
No, I know. It wasn't. It was never bred.
Max found a normal in the wild. It's
So,
a dinker. I saw Mike Schultz. It's a dinker. Everything's a dinker.
It's all dinker. Well, because
Everything's a dinker.
all the ones we find, or like the main ones we have here, are all Benin and Togo. So it's like you have this whole other,
Same thing with leopard
Hey,
geckos. We were dealing with different localities.
Did we decide what phase to name that one though? I mean, it was
I called it a
slightly
yellow
different.
belly. Yeah,
He said
it was
yellow belly in the
I was like, it had a higher yellow.
because it's got some yellow.
The
on
other
its
funny
belly.
thing about that rare genetics thing was seeing some people comment and someone like, oh, real convenient. This is all to help sell genetics tests. I was like, what? The guy just simply figured out stuff. He's a geneticist. He figured out genetics, and you're like, no, it can't be real.
There are people that are still figuring out African fat-tail geckos because everyone for the longest time treated them like leopard gecko genetics because they look like leopard geckos. Well, they're from a different. They're from Africa.
Yeah,
Their
completely
genetics
different.
actually, they actually
John,
work
are you
more like
surprised
ball pythons.
People still call Native Americans Indians.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah,
but
that's how
we're
it
not
is.
talking about that at all, Max.
Well, it's
Way to
like,
go,
you know,
Max.
Hey,
they treat
mute
fat
Max.
tails
Mute Max.
like
No, that's just how because that's how we were dealing with A males, stripes, normals. That's it. You had 3 genes, right? With fat tails whenever I was breeding them that way back then. So it's changed now. There's so much more. And same thing with ball pythons. They're unlocking new stuff, but it's all the same. Like, there are genes that in boas and in leopard geckos where the albinism alleles won't work together. You get 2 albino strains or different strains, and you get normals out of them. They're like, how in the hell does that work?
That's why I only work with one albino strain.
I'm
You
bouncing
work
all
with
over the place.
Sharp or call?
Call.
You work with call?
Yeah.
I think sharper or cleaner, to be honest
Well,
with you.
see, I've always said they are to an extent only because of the way they were bred. They were always the more expensive ones. So people that were spending the money on them were spending higher quality animals too. Whereas call was the first one, and they bred it to everything.
Yeah.
It didn't matter how ugly the parent was. An albino can hide a lot of ugly.
So here's the thing about this whole desert ghost thing, though. Do you think now that opens up an entire just shitstorm Pandora's box of what's actually poly and recessive in ball pythons?
I think so. Well, 2 things there. One, I found it funny when people talk about the market crashing because of this, and I was like, if you liked desert
It's
ghosts
the same.
before,
You're still
you
gonna
still
buy
like
them.
it now. It still looks the same. It just you now know how it works. You can better your odds of not fucking up.
And I'm sure people are still fighting that. They're like, dude, that guy's wrong. No, that's true.
I watched an episode most recently. It was Ben's thing, but he had Travis Wyman on, and people had sent Travis questions about this. And one person's like, "Do you think that Ben could be wrong?" And could it be a false positive like COVID test? I'm like, all right, you already jumped into the you don't believe.
Yeah,
this
you're
guy
a
knows what he's
whole
talking about.
other. Yeah.
I was like, first off, and even Travis explained, COVID's tests run off of RNA, and you're looking for proteins and all.
Yeah.
Ben ran a DNA test.
It's a DNA test. Yeah.
It's not the same thing.
Not even close. Well,
But
and that's just people not understanding. We are, the reptile community is a group of mimics and parrots. We are told from this person that this is how this gene works, and we take it as the truth. It's the gospel. Because if we can replicate it the way they're explaining it to us, by God, it is the gospel. But actually, when you break down the genetics, and Lee said something about when they got Leos from us, we were breaking down genetics to them, and we really got deep into genetics with leopard geckos and how the actual alleles paired and how they stacked. And I was lucky enough to go to UTA, and they are actually, well, I think they had 2 of our geckos there that they were using for genetic testing and doing, some stuff like that. I was trying to be part of a program where we actually did a bunch of DNA sequencing in Tokyo. But it was the problem that came down to was you can't find a pure specimen of Eublepharid macularis. There is nothing that you can say because you can't get a baseline, because in the wild they have heterozygous traits, right? So that was when I posted that thing. I'll pay a person $1,000 if they can prove they have a leopard gecko with 0 hets.
So
you can't
Ben,
prove it.
I imagine you don't come across anyone who thinks they know better in the medical world at all.
Doctors don't know anything, right?
Why is he muted?
Occasionally.
Oh.
It happens
I'm
occasionally.
sure. Yeah.
So I just want to go back real quick. Sean, you talked about, is it going to open up a wormhole? I think what's going to happen is people are going to realize that they're different morph.
All the white snakes are the same damn thing.
Well, they're going to realize that this different morph who looks slightly different than this other morph. The reason it looks slightly different is because you've been basically line breeding it.
You're line breeding,
and you may have put a gene in there you don't know is there. So there may be an allele there in that one that is not in the other one. But when you mix them together, like that's what they're going to figure out, and that will melt the brains. That will completely.
Whenever they start talking about stacking alleles in ball python genetics, they're going to be like, "Huh? What? How does that work?" No, it's recessive. Everything's recessive. There's 4,000 recessive genes in ball python.
Yeah, why can't I breed this to that and get this every time?
It's not true.
That's
exactly.
How shit works.
Not how it really works.
Yeah,
but I mean, hopefully, with the people doing the study with the sheds and stuff that we've talked to, hopefully they'll understand it a little more. But at this point, it's just selling skin of animals right now. They're looking for different colors and patterns. They're just selling skin.
Ben's thing when he tested the skin and found that out about the desert ghost should not have changed anyone's plans other than trying to figure out, all right, do I need to have a visual or can I trust this het to be truly het?
Just some of them are just their minds are blown. They don't understand. They can't grasp the concept of a polygenetic trait.
Yeah. So that was fun to watch people not understand genetics again for the 500th time.
Right. That's part of it.
And then people questioning. I just love when it doesn't go the way someone thinks. Their automatic thing is that person's lying or making it up or doesn't know what they're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I think Ben knows he kind of does that for a living.
Yeah, that's another big thing in our community is like you can't be right all the time. Like you're still going to learn something. And I've always said this till the day I die. The minute I stop learning something in this hobby is when I should just walk away. So I always learn something new every day, every single day. You have to. And you have to be open-minded about it. There's other ways to do things, and we get that. But when something like crazy like this genetic comes out, I love it because I just love seeing people get eat up because they're like, they can't wrap their brains around. This is actually how it works. Like on a scientific level, this is how it works.
I just thought
not because somebody told you this is how it works.
Some of you were like, "Oh, this is going to crash the whole market for desert goats." It's like that doesn't make any sense.
It's the same.
You didn't change how it worked.
Yeah, there's still people are producing them the same way. It's just part of it.
Anyways, so overall, the drama, like I said, is only drama if you let it be drama.
Yes.
If you
scroll past it, James.
I do scroll past it. I just
scroll past. I'm just gonna give you shit. Love you.
But I'm also one of those who, when I log off of Facebook, it doesn't bother me. I'm not one of those that has to like take the.
Oh, I'm the same way. I'm like, I'm
a week. They're like, I need a week break from Facebook. I'm like, it doesn't. I'm good. I don't. Doesn't emotionally affect me that much once I'm off of it.
We're going out to Laura and Greg's or Laura's family ranch next week after the Shreveport show for like 6 days. Again, Southwest Texas. The Llano River starts on their property. They have like 4,800 acres. They have a kill site on site. We're going to go look for our Cape knives.
That'd be cool.
Is it Bison Americanus is out there? They have bones and stuff, and they've never dug. They've just picked up surface bones all over. So we're going to be out in the middle of nowhere until I think from like the 29th to July 4th, and we got permission to actually dig out there. So we got some sifting tables. So I'm going to disappear for a little while.
Ben's gonna go with you.
Cool.
Welcome to.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, anytime you want to come to Texas, Ben, I got the spots. I know lots of people got some really cool spots.
Yeah, I've been there herping many times. I've just never been there looking for.
Do both. Yeah, do both.
Yeah.
I could take you to spots where you can do both.
Well, what was it, Katie? Someone asked to ask Ben about his
So
Alterna, his night herping with Alterna.
yes, so Rob Clockman, I believe is how you say his last name,
Rob.
wanted to ask about your 4 Alterna night on 277.
I know the cut.
He says it is the stuff of legend.
You pulled 4 Alterna from one.
No, this was a long time ago. I was in
Great Band of Kings.
Okay, thanks.
This was like 2002, and it was like my, I think, 4th trip out there, and it was one of those things. I was out there for like a week and not seeing much at all, and then I had a 50-minute span where I found 4 Alterna
Wow.
on one trip up the road, 2 of them on one cut, and then 1 each on a couple different cuts, and those were the only ones I saw the whole trip within this 50-minute span.
Ben, was that the one you were telling me you were there in July instead of June?
No, this was June actually, and then we went back in July. I went back with someone else, and then he found 3 in like 4 nights.
How many fake ones have you found out there? How many fake ones have you found?
How many fake ones? Oh, a number. Yeah. Rubber snakes.
Ricky Green's got. I think he's got at least 2 or 3 5-gallon buckets full of fake Alterna that he collects off the cuts.
Yeah, it's it's been a couple years since I was out there, and now everybody walks, and I actually enjoy that a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting out and walking, and because you see so much other stuff out there, just the invertebrates and mammals and all kinds of stuff. But no, I know I've run into Rob out there a couple times. It's been a long time, but hi, Rob.
I want to make it out there. I do want to go out there. And
the Trans-Pecos is nice. My most recent trip, I went to see Deadly Tarantula Girl, and we found a pair of Trans-Pecos copperheads that I gave to Mario for his educational stuff. But if we get into genetics and how close things are, it's like, did they really loop in the Trans-Pecos copperhead with the other stuff? It's like they're definitely different.
They looped them into broadbands, right?
Yeah. Well, and I know what he's talking about. You're going to get people that say differently. We could go back to DNA testing. Be the greatest way to do it. Now that you can actually do genome sequencing a lot cheaper than $15,000 per sample, which was when I was looking at doing it for leopard geckos.
I got to get one of the snake genetics guys to explain to me how when they did the green tree python one, they found like a 20-something% difference between populations of green tree pythons in their DNA. But like humans and chimpanzees, it's like a 0.2% difference.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there too, but like I think that's more
of science.
It's a locality kind of thing, That's got to be.
But, all right.
I think you're also looking at. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying we've hit 2 hours.
Holy crap! Have we really?
I know.
We have.
Well, this was the best episode ever because James didn't talk very much. So thank you, Ben. That was awesome. Look, Katie's like her tongue out. Love you, James. But that was really good. Ben did an awesome job. That was amazing. That was really good stuff.
What I loved the most about it is that I could follow and understand everything you were saying. It was beautiful.
So I'm not.
Because typically I do not.
What's
I'm
an
not-
alterno?
You do
That's true.
awesome.
Shut up.
Oh, we're pairing our silver subox up next week. Finally,
I Google
my
a
adult
lot
pair of
stuff.
silver subox.
That's what that notepad's for. Is all the
I
things
lost you guys
can
for a
Google
minute
later.
there.
Oh no.
There you are.
Ben's
You
back.
there?
We were
You back,
just-
Ben?
We were telling you how
Yeah,
wonderful
I'm back.
you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying how this was the best episode ever because James
Oh,
did good talk.
hey.
And I
you
could
did awesome.
understand everything that
Yes.
you were telling us, which was I
It was
Google a
great.
lot normally.
Yeah, it was really
Well,
good.
hey, I had a lot of fun. I love talking about this stuff, and thank you guys very much for inviting us.
So I want to ask Ben and not Max. Ben, if people want to learn more about ASF and all that, where can they look? And if they want to ask you any questions, how can they get a hold of you? If you want them to get a hold of you. If not, tell them to fuck off.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, actually, Max is our social media guru. So maybe, certainly
Have y'all
Snakebite
met Max?
Foundation.
Do you know how much content Max owes people right now? Guru.
I have a video for. I have like 3
Ugh.
videos for you.
I'm
I had
sure.
to take my own birthday picture this year
I know.
Yes.
because
Max-
somebody's
Max,
child
sorry I
had to
wasn't
have
in
their
New
first
York.
Birthday.
Max needs to put out the ASF stuff though and share it to get the Asclepius Foundation website out there for people.
Yeah. So the
and
fast.
hopefully at an upcoming show we'll be doing another auction. I don't know what we did
Yes.
for the last Connor auction, but try to
So
raise
for
some
the
money.
fastest way for people to reach us, like you can find all of our social medias and everything.
I have Max's cell phone number.
Yeah.
Oh, we can put that up if you want.
Yeah, that's not.
That's-
But it's just snakebitefoundation.org, and then you can find our blog posts. You can get our newsletter. You can donate, become a member, and then of course our social medias are all on there, and so you can go there and because when I changed my YouTube channel name from Max's View because people couldn't do X''S, you know, like so the easiest way snakebitefoundation.org. Find our social medias through there if you're worried about spelling Asclepius wrong. But other than that, go to
That
the
would
search
be a
bar.
legit concern. Let's just be real.
Yeah. So for the lowest common denominator, but if you can't spell it, Instagram and Facebook, just look up Asclepius Snakebite Foundation and you'll find us.
Ben,
Or
I'm gonna
look-
add you. I'm gonna send you a friend request on Facebook too.
Cool.
If I have availability.
Of his 5,000 friends, you have to get rid
Yeah,
of
because I have to click. But no, seriously, if you when you're back in Texas, let me know. I'd love to get together with you.
Yeah, that'd be
pick your
great.
brain on some stuff, show you around some cool places. Go look.
And
for
if you
airheads.
fall, he'll have the med kit.
Right? Well, we're in tech. I mean, Max, come on,
Yeah,
You're-
just rub
you-
some dirt in it.
rub some dirt on it. Yeah.
Sean, if people want to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
Call Lori.
That is cool.
That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. He
Yeah,
messages
he
my
has
wife. and she's
5,000
like,
friends.
"God,
He doesn't see
Yeah.
his messages.
I don't
That is
see
the
my.
truth.
I have
He must love
600.
me more than y'all because he
I have
always responds very quickly
648
when I text
notifications
him.
on my phone right now. 648
That's
Our
notifications.
child has like
Um,
430 emails. When I looked at her phone,
Oh
the
no,
other
my
day, I was
email
like,
says
I
99.
said, "You're one of these people. What's wrong
Yes.
with you? Clear
Yeah, Lori
this
has
out."
0. Yeah, Lori has 0 in her inbox.
James is their dad, so
Mine has 99.
I check mine.
I
We are.
can't.
Katie said hi. Everybody said hi.
Get off the podcast,
I'm being
Sean.
told to get off the
So,
podcast. See, somebody must have called Lori.
Herbshow.net.
Yes, herbshow.net. I'm on Facebook, Sean Gray, or herbshow.net or herpshop.net.
If you want to reach out to us,
Reagan, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm
be
getting,
quiet, Lori. If you want to reach out to us, it is the
she can't hear you. Thank
Podcast
God. She killed
on
James.
Instagram, Facebook, and at gmail.com. Don't forget, if you want UVB LED light bulbs from VivTech, use code Gumbo22. Just try to make some money
She
there.
said, I'll get James later.
Also, make sure to go check out our Facebook page, and you can join in for our giveaway this month. All you have to do is tell us where's your favorite place to go on family vacation.
And if you need a rack or a cage, check out RobertEllisReptileRacks.com.
.com.
Thank you, guys.
You're
Ben, Max,
welcome.
hang around a second, but thank y'all for coming on.
Ben,
Thanks,
really
everybody.
cool. Very nice to meet you, man. Look forward to seeing you again.
You too.
Thanks, everybody, for
Max.
listening.
Love you, Max.
love you.
Watching. And goodbye.